Chapter 672. However, just as Fu Hongbo was about to attack, a familiar and sarcastic voice came from behind him. Oh, someone was actually stopped outside the college. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others turned their heads and saw Xue Haoling and his group under the lead of two mentors. The person who spoke was wearing a black robe. It was the mentor of Beihai College, Duan Yingwu. Fu Hongbo's eyes were slightly gloomy. Duan Yingwu had always been narrow-minded, and he had expected this kind of thing. When they saw that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were stopped outside the gate, Xue Haoling and the others had a smug look on their faces. Previously, they had swallowed their anger, but now that they were at Lingyin College, it was time to pay them back. Duan Yingwu chuckled and looked at Fu Hongbo. He did not care too much and directly led the students behind him. However, after seeing Duan Yingwu and Mo Xinghai, the guard who had been looking down on them had a flattering smile on his face. Mentor Duan, Mentor Mo, you are here. Duan Yingwu smiled and nodded. He looked at Fu Hongbo and Lu Huayan provocatively and then said, the place for the students of Beihai College should have been arranged, right? That is natural. The guard nodded. Please come in. Seeing this scene, Xia Jiqing could not stand it anymore. Why can they go in directly without ID? But we need ID. Duan Yingwu and the others stopped because of Xia Jiqing's words and looked at Fu Hongbo and the others with a playful look. It was rare to see such a joke, so they naturally wanted to enjoy it. How can your identity be compared with ours? Lu Jingqi's face was filled with a proud smile. The two mentors are famous. Who doesn't know them? As for you bumpkins from the countryside, naturally no one knows you. As soon as these words came out, Xue Haoling and the others chuckled. Previously, they had suffered in the hands of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. Today, they must pay them back. I don't know where this guy came from, but he dares to claim to be from the Azure Water School. Guard, you have to check carefully. Lu Jinglin said slowly, looking at Bailey Hongzhuang with eyes full of jealousy and resentment. She was jealous that Bailey Hongzhuang was treated differently by Xiaolan Mei. She resented Bailey Hongzhuang for hurting her. It was precisely because she was injured by Bailey Hongzhuang that she suffered a lot during the journey. The two mentors had always been strict and would not slow down their speed because of her injuries. And all of this was thanks to Bailey Hongzhuang. Now, under the introduction of the two teachers, they had some understanding of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. The person who had injured her was called Bailey Hongzhuang. Feeling Lu Jinglin's resentful eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang looked indifferent and calm. The resentment of the defeated had no effect on her. The guard nodded again and said, I will check your identity. Mo Xinghai laughed heartily. Everyone must be tired after such a long journey. Let's go to the residence prepared for us by Lingyin College to rest. Yes. Chapter 673. As the practitioners of Beihai College disappeared from the sight of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, everyone's eyes fell on the guard again. Mentor, why pay attention to him? Let's go straight in. Cui Haoyan couldn't help but say. This kind of person was simply deliberately making things difficult for them. He didn't even want to report, so how could they prove their identity? In fact, they felt that this was the intention of Lingyin College. Otherwise, how could a guard dare to make such a big decision? Cui Haoyan is right. Let's go straight in. This guard can't stop us at all. Bai Junyu agreed. They came on behalf of Kanglin College, and now they were blocked by a guard. If this spread out, it would be a great loss of face. Hearing this, the guard's face changed a bit. You want to break into Lingyin College? Do you believe that I will immediately call the royal guards to drive you out? Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo looked at each other. The situation was indeed beyond their expectations. If they forced their way in, they would undoubtedly have a bad reputation, but if they were stuck here, it would undoubtedly be even more humiliating. Once the royal guard arrived, they would definitely arrest them immediately. Then, this misunderstanding would be blown up. Even if they knew that Lingyin College was deliberately messing with them, they couldn't do anything. At this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang said to the guard, Are you sure you want to stop us at the door? The guard looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and said, Of course, you can't prove your identity. How can I let you in? Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo also looked at Bailey Hongzhuang doubtfully. The situation at hand was simply unsolvable. They didn't know what Bailey Hongzhuang had to do. We were invited by Lingyin College to participate in the college tournament. You dare to stop us at the door. Are you sure you can bear this responsibility? Bailey Hongzhuang's phoenix eyes narrowed, and the momentum of a superior broke out. Even if Lingyin College was now at its peak, this method was too much. Their Kanglan College was also not to be trifled with. In this case, if they didn't show their attitude, they would be despised. The guard only felt a strong pressure enveloping him, as if it had become difficult for him to speak. Previously, the higher-ups had only ordered him to make things difficult for the students of the Azure Water School. It was best to make them lose face. However, he didn't know how to answer the woman's question. After a moment of silence, the guard forced himself to say, "As a guard, my job is to stop people with unknown identities. What responsibility do I have?" After saying this, a smug look appeared in the guard's eyes. He was not someone who could be scared. A mere student wanted to force him to submit with just a few words. Wasn't he underestimating him too much? Just as the guard wanted to see Bailey Hongzhuang's pale face, he saw Bailey Hongzhuang's lips slowly curl into a cold smile. "Since Lingyin College does not welcome us, we will leave." As her voice fell, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes fell on Lu Huayan and Fu Hongba. Fu Hongba and Lu Huayan also nodded. In this situation, they couldn't continue to be in a deadlock here. It was better to leave first. Chapter 674. Seeing that the people of Kanglan College were ready to leave, the guard's eyes flashed with panic. He was just ordered to make things difficult for the cultivators of Kanglan College. But if they left, he could not bear the responsibility. Xia Jiqing and the others did not hesitate to leave with the two mentors. The attitude of Lingyin College was really disgusting. Wait, after seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were not pretending to leave, the guard could not help but shout. Bailey Hongzhuang's footsteps paused slightly. She turned her head and looked at the guard, her clear eyes filled with ridicule. "Is there anything else? We have not even entered the gate of Lingyin College. If something is damaged, don't blame it on us." Hearing the ridicule in Bailey Hongzhuang's words, the guard's face was ugly, but then he raised his chin and restored his arrogant appearance. "You wait here for a moment. I will go and inform them. If someone can prove your identity, I will let you in." As the voice of the guard fell, everyone was speechless. It was as if they would be grateful if he went in to inform them. "No need." Bailey Hongzhuang raised her right hand slightly. "I have come to Lingyin College for the first time, and now I have seen the hospitality of Lingyin College." Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Xia Jiqing and the others and then said, "If there is no place here, then there is a place to stay. This kind of place is fine not to come." The next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others walked away. In this kind of place, if they continued to stay, they would only be ridiculed. Why should they endure this? Hey, the guard looked at the back of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others who were determined to leave. His face became extremely ugly. He really did not expect the situation to turn out like this. It was reasonable to say that no matter what, the people of Kanglan College would not leave. Now the situation had changed. Thinking of this, the guard ran into the college anxiously. He had to pass the news quickly. Not long after the people of Beihai College entered Lingyin College, two mentors of Lingyin College came out to greet them. Mentor Duan, Mentor Mo, long time no see. One of the mentors of the Azure Water School, Ruan Yulong, had a happy smile on his face as he cupped his hands. Seeing Ruan Yulong, Duan Yingwu and Mo Xinghai smiled. "Instructor Wan, we haven't seen each other for a while. Your strength should have improved again, right?" Ruan Yulong smiled faintly. His seemingly humble appearance revealed a sincere arrogance. "Just barely. You have already arrived. When will the people from the Azure Water College arrive?" Another mentor beside Ruan Yulong asked. Hearing this, Duan Yingwu and Mo Xinghai could not help but laugh. The team of Kanglan College is blocked outside the door. They're being asked by the guards to prove their identity. I'm afraid they won't be able to come in for a while. Duan Yingwu chuckled. "So the show has already begun." Ruan Yulong chuckled. "I presume the two of you have already seen the show?" Mo Xinghai nodded. "It is indeed a good show." Lu Huayan and Lu Huayan's faces are gloomy, but they have been restraining themselves from getting angry. The Kanglin College has not done anything. This time they want to rely on the ruins to make a comeback. It is ridiculous. Chapter 675. Teacher Ruan is right. People like them should be properly checked. The four mentors looked at each other and smiled. There's a bit of ridicule in their smiles. They couldn't stand the Kanglin College for a long time. Today is really funny. Bailey Hongzhuang is usually very capable, but now she can only eat a loss. Lu Jinglin's face flashed with pride, but her eyes swept over Xiao Lanmei. She wanted to know what Xiao Lanmei's attitude was. Lu Jingqi was also very excited. Today is really too good. They boasted of being extraordinary, but now they are eating the cold shoulder. She hated Xia Jiqing. Today, when she saw Xia Jiqing's look of hatred, she only felt a burst of joy. Who let Xia Jiqing be so arrogant in front of her? I don't know how long the students of the Kanglin College will be outside, checking their identity. Shui Haoling only felt that he had vented his anger. Although he had no evidence, he always felt that the reason why his wallet was lost must be because of the Kanglin College cultivators. Otherwise, it was impossible for ordinary people to do this. Xiao Lanmei looked indifferent, as if nothing had happened. Indifferent. Lu Jinglin also felt relieved after seeing Xiao Lanmei's expression. It seemed that Xiao Lanmei was not so special to Bailey Hongzhuang. However, just as the four teachers were chatting happily, the guards hurried over. Teacher Ruan, Teacher Jiang. Seeing the guard, Ruan Yulong was obviously in a very good mood. He smiled and said, "You did a good job." It can be regarded as giving the Kanglin College a show of strength. He wanted to put pressure on the people of the Kanglin College from the first day and let them know what their identity was. Mo Xinghai and Duan Wu's faces were also full of smiles. This trick really made them happy. However, the guard ran all the way. His face was a bit anxious. He gasped and said that Ruan Yulong patted the guard's shoulder. "If you have something to say it slowly. Don't worry." They are gone. At this moment, the guard said a complete sentence. Ruan Yulong slightly frowned. "Who are you talking about?" Kanglin College's team is leaving. The guard's face was very ugly. He didn't expect the team of Kanglin College to leave like this. If they didn't participate in the inter-school tournament, they would be in big trouble once the principal blamed them. Ruan Yulong's expression changed. "Gone? How is this possible? What did you do?" "Tutor Ruan, I was just following your instructions to ask them for proof of identity. I didn't expect them to leave just like that." The guard had a bitter look on his face. "Minor Ruan, I'm just following your instructions. You must protect me." The reason why he was so arrogant before was because he was sure that the team from Kanglin College would not leave. They would only find ways to enter the college. He never thought that the other party would do the exact opposite, which left him dumbfounded. Being a guard of Lingyin College was a good job. He had used a lot of connections to succeed in becoming a guard. He could not lose his job because of this matter. Chapter 676. How could they have left? Ruan Yulong still couldn't believe it. Are they not going to participate in the college tournament? According to his thoughts, it was impossible for them to leave no matter what. Duan Yingwu and Mo Xinghai also stopped smiling at this moment. They had organized the college tournament specifically to deal with the Kanglin College. As long as the Kanglin College failed again in this tournament, they would not be able to raise their heads in front of them in the future. Now that the team of the Kanglin College had left, if they did not participate in the college tournament, then wouldn't all their arrangements be in vain? The most important thing was that because they were blocked from the Lingyin College, the Kanglin College had an excuse. Even if they used this excuse to refuse to participate in the tournament, it would be troublesome. Hongzhuang, are we just going to leave like this? Are we not going to participate in the inter-school competition? Xia Jiqing suppressed the doubts in her heart and could not help but ask. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and waved her hand. Naturally, we will participate in the college tournament. Then what do we do if we leave now? Xia Jiqing asked in a confused manner. We just need to find an inn in the imperial city to stay. Lingyin College has done everything possible to arrange this tournament. They will not be willing to let us leave like this. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips outlined a confident and affirmative smile. In her view, The move that the Lingyin College had used today was too stupid. Turning them away was just to ridicule them. If they left now, the principal of the Kanglan College would personally come to invite them. In this way, which academy would be the one that would lose more face? Liu Huayin and Fu Hongbo completely understood after listening to Bailey Hongzhuang's words. They couldn't help but secretly admire Bailey Hongzhuang. She was really smart. Since they don't want us to leave, then they will definitely come to invite us back. Let's stay in the inn for 2 days and enjoy the prosperity of the imperial city of the Qing dynasty. Liu Huayin smiled. Bailey Hongzhuang's method not only saved their backbone, but also doomed the Lingyin College to lose face. It was really good. Hearing the words of the two instructors, Bai Junyu and the others finally understood. Smiles appeared on their faces. Ha! Did you see that after we said we were leaving, the guard's face instantly turned into the color of a pig's liver? Xia Jiqing laughed. At this moment, after understanding the situation, she was no longer as nervous as before. Now that she recalled the appearance of the guard, she only felt that it was extremely laughable. He's just a guy who uses his power to bully others. Once we leave, he will definitely be unlucky. Lu Qinyue said coldly. As Canglan School's cultivators, they had always been respected. When had they ever suffered such humiliation? Dong Fangyu chuckled. Even if the guard is fine now, we only need to mention it in front of the principal of Lingyin College. That person will definitely not have a good time. Following Dong Fangyu's words, everyone gave Dong Fangyu a thumbs up. This idea was simply too wonderful. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others casually found an inn in the imperial city to stay. After such a long journey, they did not feel tired at all. Instead, they were very interested in the imperial city of the Qing dynasty. Chapter 677. Cui Haoyan's face was filled with a spring breeze smile. Although he was afraid that the upcoming inter-school tournament would not be optimistic, at least now he was in a good mood. Hearing this, everyone's face also showed a look of interest. It was their first time coming to the Qing dynasty. They should really take a look around. Since we are here, wouldn't it be a waste not to go shopping? Dong Fangyu chuckled. Let's go. After everyone left the inn, they first want to find a restaurant to eat. After asking around, they found out that the first tower of the Qing dynasty had the most delicious food. Everyone did not hesitate to go to the first tower. The food in each place was slightly different. They had finally arrived in the Qing dynasty and their hearts were relieved. Naturally, they wanted to find the most delicious food here. Standing in front of the door of the first tower, everyone could not help but have a flash of amazement in their eyes. On the big golden signboard, the words "First Tower" were written in flamboyant calligraphy. The first tower, as its name suggested, was the best restaurant in the Qing dynasty's imperial city. As soon as Bailey Hongzhuang and others walked into the first tower, the waiter greeted them with a smile. Several guests. There are no more private rooms on the second floor. I wonder if you can eat in the lobby? Everyone nodded. Sitting in the lobby was also a good choice because people like to talk about some hot topics after a meal. They had just arrived and did not know much about the Qing dynasty. Maybe they could hear some good news. Under the guidance of the waiter, Bailey Hongzhuang and others sat down in the center of the lobby. It had to be said that the business of the first tower was really booming. Bailey Hongzhuang and others deliberately missed the busiest time of the restaurant. They did not expect that the first tower was still full of guests. Several guests look unfamiliar. It must be your first time coming to our first tower. Do you want me to recommend our signature dishes to you? The waiter was obviously very friendly. After seeing the unfamiliar faces of Bailey Hongzhuang and others, he took the initiative to introduce them. Seeing the waiter so enthusiastic, Bailey Hongzhuang and others could not help but have a good impression of the waiter. Then why don't you serve a few of First Restaurant's signature dishes? There are 8 of us, so please help us serve the dishes, Bailey Hongzhuang said with a smile. All right, the waiter nodded. Please wait for a moment. The food and wine will be served soon. After the waiter left, Zhang Yinfeng smiled and said, although I don't know how good the dishes at First Pavilion are, this waiter has a sharp tongue and is extremely intelligent. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. In my opinion, the owner of this restaurant must have spent a lot of effort to train this waiter. I also feel that this restaurant's decoration is very elegant. and there's no lack of extravagance. It's a lot more unique than the restaurants we've been to before. Dongfang Yu praised. However, while Dongfang Yu and the others were looking at the layout of the first floor, they didn't know that someone was looking at them from a private room on the second floor. Second brother, look, there are two great beauties down there. In the private room, a 17-year-old boy's face was full of excitement. His eyes fell on the table where Bailey Hongzhuang and others were sitting. Third brother, there are only a few beauties in the Qing dynasty. How can there be any outstanding beauties? Chapter 678. Nangong Yujin was excited. Second brother, what I said is true. If you don't believe me, take a look. Seeing that Nangong Yujin was so serious, Nangong Xiujie looked at the lobby on the first floor. With just one look, Nangong Xiujie could no longer take back his eyes. When did these two beauties come to the imperial city? I didn't even receive the slightest news. Nangong Xiujie's eyes flashed with a dazzling light. Such beauties were really rare in the world. Second brother, I think the woman in the hibiscus dress is gentle and affectionate. She is really the best of the best. Nangong Yujin's words revealed a strong interest. It was really the first time he had seen a woman who could be so delicate and beautiful. Nangong Xiujie heard this and looked at the woman in the hibiscus dress. His eyes then fell on the woman in white. He felt that compared to the two, the woman in white was the real best. Whether it was appearance or temperament, they were all first class, especially her smile that completely captured his heart. If he let go of such a rare beauty, it would not be Nangong Xiujie's style. I think the woman in white is more attractive. Nangong Xiujie rubbed his chin and his eyes flashed with excitement. He had not been so excited for a long time. Listening to Nangong Xiujie's words, Nangong Yujin's face also showed a smile. It seemed that his second brother had the same idea as him. In that case, second brother, why don't we each have one? Nangong Xiujie nodded. Okay. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others waited for a while before the dishes were served one by one. Looking at the beautiful dishes in front of them, everyone's appetite was greatly aroused. This dish, whether it is color or fragrance, is first class. I just don't know how it tastes. Let me try it. Xiao Jiqing said with a smile. Everyone also tasted it. After tasting it, everyone sighed. It was really worthy of the first floor. The taste was really amazing. The taste is really good, huh? Bai Junyu smiled. The wine and dishes of this country were also very good. At the same time, the conversation around the table was also heard by everyone. I heard that today the team of Kangling College, one of the three colleges, was deliberately made difficult at the gate of Lingyin College. Later, the team of Lingyin College directly left. Do you know this news? Left? I haven't heard the news, but if they left, how can the college tournament continue? I don't understand why Lingyin College would do such a thing. It's a bit lacking. The man shook his head. The Lingyin College had always had a high position in their mind, but this kind of action. I don't know, but the Kangling College has failed twice in a row. It's normal to be ridiculed and discriminated against. The strength must be first. Bai Junyu's expression changed a little. Today's matter is the fault of Lingyin College. I wanted to see how powerful Lingyin College is, but now I have no interest. He s's respect colleges is studying sts. SS colleges is they the t have t, s college have. Chapter 679. Lingyin College has been attached to the royal family of the Qing dynasty for many years, so it is normal for them to be superior to others. Gong Xiaoqing said slowly, with a bit of disdain in his eyes. A person with strength and bearing was a gentleman, while a person with strength and narrow-mindedness was nothing more than a villain. No matter how powerful the strength of Lingyin College was, it could not attract their admiration. Everyone was eating while listening to the laughter of the people around them. All kinds of news were passed into their ears, but most of it was of no use to them. At the same time, Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin slowly walked down from the second floor. Their heads were held high and they were elegant. They were holding a folding fan in their hands. Look, isn't that the second prince, Nangong Xiujie, and the third prince, Nangong Yujin? The food and wine of the first tower is excellent. I heard that the royal family wanted to recruit the chef of the first tower to the palace, but I don't know why the chef did not go. Therefore, even the princes often come to the first tower and the second and third princes are frequent guests. Where are the two princes going? Could it be that they know someone in the lobby? Everyone's eyes were filled with surprise. If the two princes knew someone, then the identity of the other party must be not simple. Why would they sit in the lobby instead of in a private room? Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin had a proud and confident smile on their faces. As princes, no matter where they went, they were the focus of everyone's attention. With the support of these people, it was more convenient for them to do things. Listening to the discussion of the people around them, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others could not help but look at Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin. Not for other reasons, but because Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin were both practitioners of Lingyin College. Their strength was very outstanding, and it was very likely that they would be their opponents this time. After taking a closer look, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others turned back and continued to eat. After all, it was just an understanding. As for whether the college tournament could be successfully held, it would depend on whether the principal of Lingyin College would be willing to put down his face and invite them. However, when Bailey Hongzhuang and the others turned around, Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin walked to their table and stopped. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others couldn't help but look at each other. Could it be that Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin were so well informed that they already knew their identity? However, Nangong Xiujie's next words made them understand that their previous speculation was purely their imagination. You girls look very unfamiliar. I don't think you are from the Qing dynasty, right? Nangong Xiujie's voice was gentle, and there was a faint smile on his lips. His graceful and polite appearance was just like an elegant young master. However, when he spoke, his eyes only fell on Bailey Hongzhuang and the other three women. As for Gong Shaoqing and the other three people on the other side, it was as if they did not exist in the vicinity. Just from this attitude, everyone understood that Nangong Xiujie was not as polite as they thought. On the contrary, he was also a guy with eyes on the top of his head. We're not, so what? Xia Jiqing's voice was slightly cold. Nangong Xiujie's attitude was very unpleasant. Chapter 680. Thinking of this, Gong Shaoqing and the others were somewhat helpless. Speaking of which, among all the special enrollment classes of the Kanglin College, the girls in their class were the most beautiful. At the beginning, Lu Qinyue was known as the #1 beauty of the Kanglin College, attracting many male cultivators to stop and watch. Many cultivators tried their best to join the Kanglin College just to be able to see Lu Qinyue. Since Bailey Hongzhuang came to the Kanglin College, this situation did not weaken at all, but became even more intense. Because some cultivators came for Lu Qinyue, and the other came for Bailey Hongzhuang. For the appearance of Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Qinyue, even if they had been together for so long, they still felt that it was pleasing to the eye. Along the way, the two of them were obviously the most eye-catching. Now it was clear that the two princes had taken a fancy to them and came here. Nangong Xiujie heard Xia Jiqing's words, and his eyes could not help but be a little surprised. Nangong Xiujie had lived for so long and had always won the hearts of women. No woman had ever treated him with such an attitude. On the contrary, there were countless women who wanted to marry him, but he did not take a fancy to them. The smile on Nangong Xiujie's face did not change because of Xia Jiqing's words, and then he said, "I am Nangong Xiujie, the second prince of the Qing dynasty. I'm very happy to meet you." At the same time, Nangong Yujin also came to Lu Qinyue's side. There's a beauty in the north, peerless and independent. I didn't know that there was such a beautiful woman in the world. Nangong Yujin did not hide his praise. It was really the first time in his life that he had seen such a woman. Lu Qinyue obviously had not experienced such a scene. Although there were many men who admired her, no one had ever been so direct. For a while, she did not know how to deal with it. Looking at Lu Qinyue's flustered appearance, Nangong Yujin was even more happy. This beauty was so pure, he just praised her a few words, and she was already shy. Nangong Xiujie glanced at Nangong Yujin. His third brother's eloquence was really not a boast. With just a few words, he could capture a woman's heart. Everyone in the restaurant also understood at this moment, and an ambiguous look appeared in their eyes. I was wondering why the second prince and the third prince knew someone sitting in this hall. It turns out that they had an ulterior motive. I've already noticed that the two ladies have outstanding appearances. However, judging from their temperament, I don't think they're from ordinary families. Haha, I think you have evil intentions but no guts. Now that the two princes have taken action, you have no chance at all. Everyone shook their heads and sighed. As a woman, which one of them didn't want to marry into a royal family? However, although the second prince and the third prince were very powerful, they were both fickle people. Almost all the beautiful women in the imperial city had been taken away by them. It was truly a pity for these two peerless beauties. Miss, how should I address you? Nangong Xiujia's eyes were fixed on Bailey Hongzhuang. Previously, he felt that Bailey Hongzhuang was very outstanding from afar. Now that he had a closer look, he felt that she was even more beautiful. Chapter 681. Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly stood up. Regardless of the purpose of this Nangong Xiujia, the other party was the second prince of the Qing dynasty. Since she came to the Qing dynasty, naturally she should give some face to Nangong Xiujia. Bailey Hongzhuang. Nangong Xiujia whispered the name of Bailey Hongzhuang, and the smile on his lips gradually widened. Sure enough, it is a good name. Not only is she beautiful, but the name is also very nice. Thank you for the compliment, Bailey Hongzhuang said with a smile. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's smile made Nangong Xiujia even more obsessed. Bailey Hongzhuang's previous indifferent appearance was already a work of art. Now that she smiled, it was even more amazing. On the other side, Dong Fangyu and the others looked at each other. Why does it seem that this has nothing to do with them at all? This Qing dynasty is also a big country. I thought that the prince's temperament was great, but he is just a playboy who is greedy for beauty. Bai Junyu frowned. The other party's behavior showed that he did not put them in his eyes. This kind of behavior was really disgusting. Gong Xiaoqing, Lu Qinyue is obviously not good at dealing with this kind of situation. Do you want to help? Dong Fangyu looked at Gong Xiaoqing. Everyone knew that Lu Qinyue's heart was with Gong Xiaoqing. How could he let someone take away his brother's woman? Gong Xiaoqing's eyes were cold. Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujin's attitude was too arrogant. However, Gong Xiaoqing's eyes could not help but fall on Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Qinyue were two different women. Bailey Hongzhuang was not as delicate as Lu Qinyue. On the contrary, she was independent enough, strong enough, unique, and fearless. He believed that Bailey Hongzhuang would not let the other party bully her like this. I still have a lot of good food and wine in my residence. I wonder if Miss Bailey is interested? Nangong Xiujia's eyes were filled with covetous light. If he could get Bailey Hongzhuang, he believed that many people would envy him. Seeing Nangong Xiujia speak so crudely and without any concealment, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes gradually deepened with disgust. She really didn't have a good impression of the royal family. Whether it was Xianyuan Huan, Xianyuan Jing, or Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujin, they all had the same ugly face. In the next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into an enchanting and beautiful smile. Her pair of phoenix eyes seemed to be filled with boundless love. Nangong Xiujia's heart trembled. A beauty was indeed a beauty. Every frown and smile was full of charm. However, the words that came out of Bailey Hongzhuang's mouth made him stunned. Thank you for your invitation, but I'm already full. The casual and indifferent words were simple and honest. Indeed, the dishes on the table were almost finished. Bailey Hongzhuang was really full. However, what he said was only an excuse. Isn't your answer a little too honest? Nangong Xiujia secretly wondered if this beauty did not understand the meaning of his words. Miss Bailey, the back garden of my residence is also good. Why don't we take a walk after eating? Nangong Xiujia asked again. Oh, Bailey Hongzhuang's phoenix eyes slightly raised. Then you have to ask my husband if he agrees. Chapter 682. With Bailey Hongzhuang's voice falling, Nangong Xiujia's face instantly became ugly. How could this be? He never even considered the possibility that Bailey Hongzhuang was already married. However, now that Bailey Hongzhuang reminded him, he felt that it was not impossible. But Bai Jinyu couldn't help but cover his mouth and forced himself not to laugh out loud. Hong Zhuang was really Hong Zhuang. Just a simple sentence could make Nangong Xiujie's face turn green. It was really interesting. Dongfang Yu's eyes were also filled with a smile. Bailey Hong Zhuang was a smart and cunning woman. If it was another woman, they wouldn't know what to do, but Bailey Hong Zhuang was very careful. It was precisely because of this that so many people adored her. It was really hard for people to dislike such a mischievous girl. Miss Bailey, you're already married? Bailey Hong Zhuang nodded seriously. To be honest, not only am I married, but I also have a child. She even had a child. Nangong Xiujie's eyes widened. This bombshell after bombshell really made him dumbfounded. This woman's appearance did not have the slightest trace of being a married woman. It was just that there were many ordinary women who were married at this age. Cui Haoyan also couldn't help but cover his mouth. Bailey Hong Zhuang's words were really shocking. It was very painful for him to just hold back his laughter. Before, he always felt that Nangong Xiujie was very annoying, but now he had some sympathy for Nangong Xiujie. He was completely played by Bailey Hong Zhuang. Xia Jiqing and Zhang Yunfeng's mouths couldn't help but twitch. Hong Zhuang's trick was really invincible. It was simply an unsolvable trick. Xiao He and Xiao Bai held back their laughter. Their master was really worthy of being their master. Her ability to lie through her teeth was much stronger than theirs. After seeing this scene, Nangong Yujin was also a little dumbfounded. He didn't expect his second brother's luck to be so bad. This was really funny. Miss Liu, don't tell me you're already married? Nangong Yujin couldn't help but worry. He wouldn't be as unlucky as his second brother, right? Lu Qingyue was slightly startled. Her eyes couldn't help but fall on Gong Xiaoqing. She had always rarely lied. She didn't have Bailey Hong Zhuang's ability. If she was exposed, all the reactions of Lu Qingyue were seen by Nangong Yujin. Nangong Yujin immediately understood everything. I would like to invite Miss Lu Qingyue. What do you think? However, the next moment, Gong Xiaoqing stood up and said, Qingyue is my fiancée. She is not as dignified as the third prince. With Gong Xiaoqing's voice falling, Lu Qingyue's eyes were filled with joy, even if she knew that what Gong Xiaoqing said was false. But at this time, Gong Xiaoqing was willing to stand up for her. She was happy enough. The people in the restaurant were also stunned at this moment. The development of this plot was really different from what they had imagined. The woman was young, but she was already married and had a child. They really didn't expect it. The other woman also had a fiancé. Chapter 683. As Nangong Yujin's voice fell, everyone's expression changed again. They didn't expect the woman's fiancé to be here. Nangong Yujin even said such a thing. This was a bit too much. The third prince has always been overbearing. It's not like he has never robbed a woman before. But today's robbery is a bit too much. In the past, even if the third prince took a fancy to a girl, he would at least use some means and would not directly rob her. But now, the third prince did not even care about this. Everyone could not help but feel sorry for Gong Xiaoqing. This man was really lucky to have such a beautiful fiancée. They did not expect that today, all of this would turn into a bubble. Third prince, Gong Xiaoqing is indeed my fiancée. Lu Qingyue said. Nangong Yujin's smile was somewhat ferocious. Since he is your fiancé, it means that he is not married yet. This prince has taken a fancy to you. Come with me. As soon as his voice fell, Dongfang Yu and the others also stood up. I did not expect the prince of the Qing dynasty to be so unreasonable. We have seen it today. Oh, in my Qing dynasty, you dare to have an opinion. I think you don't want to live anymore. Nangong Yujin said coldly. The threat in his words was obvious. At the same time, Nangong Xiujie's eyes also fell on Bailey Hong Zhuang. He always felt that what Bailey Hong Zhuang said was not true. He often wandered around with flowers and had a certain understanding of women. Bailey Hong Zhuang did not look like a woman who had given birth to a child. Maybe Bailey Hong Zhuang was just lying to him. Miss Bailey, you also come back with me. If you really have a husband and child, then let them come and pick you up. Nangong Xiujie said slowly, his eyes filled with certainty. If this was really fake, then wouldn't he lose face? It was better to take her back first. As for the rest, he would talk about it later. Does the second prince mean to rob a woman? Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes narrowed slightly. A cold light flashed in her eyes. Even if she knew that Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin were not good people, she did not expect them to be so bad. Gong Xiaoqing and the others also took out their weapons. Since there was no way to solve this with words, they could only solve it with violence. It is absolutely impossible for Nangong Xiujie to take away Hong Zhuang and the others. I've seen shameless people before, but I've never seen someone as shameless as you. I was just being polite to you earlier to give you face. You're really thick-skinned. Xia Jiqing's face was full of anger. She had endured it for a long time. This kind of scum should have died long ago. These words did not give any face to Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Xiujie. Their faces immediately became ugly. Everyone's expression changed a little. This little girl really dared to speak. Normally, those who dared to speak like this would have already lost their heads. However, they felt that this little girl's words were very reasonable. Seeing the actions of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin's eyes changed, and they said, "You dare to fight us? I want to see if you are the opponents of the entire Imperial City Guards." Chapter 684. Coward. When Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin heard this, their faces instantly became gloomy. This Bailu Hongzhuang was too much. She even dared to say such words. It was simply unforgivable. This prince will let you know the power of this prince. Nangong Xiujie slammed his palm on the table, and the table was directly torn apart. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others could not help but take a few steps back. However, Nangong Xiujie's actions did not achieve the result he wanted. This kind of simple trick can't scare us. Bailey Hongzhuang's sarcastic smile became more and more intense. This kind of guy didn't know that there was always someone better than him. After seeing this scene, the waiter's face changed a bit and quickly said, "Second prince, third prince, you know the rules of our first tower. You can't fight in the restaurant." Hearing this, Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin looked at each other and then looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and the others and said, "Get out." However, Bailey Hongzhuang sat down directly on the chair and said, "I won't go out. What can you do?" Xia Jiqing and the others did not care about the two princes at all. This kind of trouble could not be avoided. It was better to offend them directly. Anyway, even if they did not offend them now, they would offend them in the college tournament. Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Xiujie were angry. They had never seen such an arrogant person. This was their Qing dynasty. "Do you know what you're doing?" Nangong Xiujie's voice was full of threats. "If you dare to offend me in the Qing dynasty, I promise you will not leave the Imperial City alive." "I'm so scared." Bailey Hongzhuang patted her small chest, but there was no look of fear on her face. This was clearly sarcasm. Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin could no longer bear it. If they did not take action, where would their prestige be in the future? Gong Xiaoqing and the others were slightly worried. The royal family had always been a force to be feared, not to mention that the Qing dynasty was a big country. If Nangong Xiujie really used the power of the royal family to deal with them, the situation would be terrible. "Master, aren't you afraid of the royal family's power if you insult them like this? Although the guards of the Imperial City are just trash, if the real power of the Imperial family comes out, then..." There was a little worry in Xiao Hei's eyes. It was not a problem for them to leave the Qing dynasty safely, but there were still so many teammates. It was not easy to leave safely together. Bailey Hongzhuang had a sly look in her eyes, but there was no worry in her expression. If it is from the perspective of a prince, it is naturally the case, but Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin are both cultivators of Lingying College. From the perspective of a student, it is just that the cultivators of the two colleges have sex. If Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Xiujie had sex, the royal family would take action. Then who would dare to compete with them? Xiao Hei and Xiao Bai understood. They had to admit that their master was really smart. As a result, the current situation was not so bad. "If you fall into my hands, I will not let you have a good time." Chapter 685. The atmosphere was tense, and the eyes of the onlookers flashed with excitement. As we all know, Fighting is prohibited in the first tower. Even the princes can't fight here, so they are absolutely safe sitting in the lobby. This kind of good show is not often seen. Today's meal is really worth it. Same to you. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was cold. Apart from his identity, this Nangong Xiujia is just a scum. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang counterattack without hesitation, Nangong Xiujia was furious. But the other party is sitting in the first tower, which makes him somewhat helpless. Noticing the helplessness of Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujin, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were also thinking. Even the two princes don't dare to break the rules of the first tower. It seems that the background of the first tower is very strong. However, in this tense atmosphere, a sound attracted the attention of the host. Woo, the cry of a baby sounded, and then a man in a black robe came over with the baby. After seeing Bailey Hongzhuang, the man's eyes showed a happy smile. Wife, why haven't you come back yet? Without you, the husband can't take care of the child. Xia Jiqing and the others were stunned. Who is this guy who suddenly appeared? They have never seen him before. Bailey Hongzhuang was also stunned after seeing the black figure. What the hell is this? Why is Mo Yunjue here? The most important thing is that Mo Yunjue is so cooperative with her. Although she doesn't have much contact with Mo Yunjue, she knows that Mo Yunjue is not a person with this kind of character. Now, he is willing to help her out? Amazing, really amazing. Xiaohei shook her head and sighed. This Mo Yunjue is really amazing. God knows where he got this child from. Master, this favor is even more difficult to return. Xiaobai was speechless, but at the same time, she found it interesting. The current situation was a pool of muddy water, but Mo Yunjue still dared to get involved. She had to admit that Mo Yunjue's courage was not small. Dongfang Yu and the others looked at each other in dismay. They had no idea where this black-clothed man had come from. They didn't know anyone in the Qing dynasty. Everyone else in the hall was stunned as well. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Previously, they had also suspected that Bailey Hongzhuang's words were false, but they did not expect that even this irrefutable fact would appear now. In this case, Nangong Xiujia even wants to take away the child's mother. This is too inhumane. However, the ones who were most shocked were the waiter and the shopkeeper. What kind of joke was this? When did their boss get married and have children? They clearly didn't receive any news. After Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujin saw Mo Yunjue, their faces changed a bit. In any case, they did not expect that Bailey Hongzhuang would turn out to be Mo Yunjue's woman. The situation was completely different. Young Master Mo, Nangong Xiujia's face once again raised a smile, but there was a hint of embarrassment. Miss Bailey is your wife? Mo Yunjue smiled and nodded. Looking at the situation, the second prince seems to have some conflict with my wife. My wife has always been a child. I hope the second prince will not take it to heart. Chapter 686. In addition to Di Beichun, when did Hong Zhuang have another husband? A big question mark appeared in Xia Jiqing's heart. This was not right. She had known Hong Zhuang for so long and had never heard of the existence of such a young master. Listening to Mo Yunjue's affirmative answer, Nangong Xiujia's face also became ugly. No wonder Bailey Hongzhuang was so arrogant before. It turned out that she had the support of Mo Yunjue. Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujin looked at each other. It seemed that today they could not turn the tables. Mo Yunjue was a special existence in their eyes, just like the first tower was a special existence in the imperial city. Originally, they thought that Mo Yunjue was just an ordinary businessman. When they wanted to bring the chef of the first tower into the imperial palace, the chef refused, so they wanted to kill the chef. They never thought that their father would let the chef go and remind them that no matter what, it was best not to provoke Mo Yunjue. At that time, their father was obviously quite afraid of Mo Yunjue. When they discovered this, they only felt that it was incredible. How strong was their father's hand? The other party was just a restaurant owner, but he could make their father so afraid. It could be seen that the other party was not a simple character. Whether it was Nangong Xiujia or Nangong Yujin, they were not stupid people. Since then, They have been polite to Mo Yunjue and have never had any conflicts. Since it is Madame Mo, I naturally will not care, Nangong Xiujie slowly said. Looking at the sudden change in Nangong Xiujie's attitude, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others also had a strange color in their eyes. Wasn't this change a little too fast? What is the identity of this young Master Mo? The two princes are so afraid of him. Dongfang Yu's eyes flashed with an uneasy light. Would it be out of the wolf's den and into the tiger's den? After all, this young Master Mo would not help at all for no reason. Gong Shaoqing's expression was also heavy. When he faced the two princes, he was not so worried. The sudden appearance of this young Master Mo was even more unfathomable. I don't know. Let's wait and see. I accidentally broke the table. Waiter, put on my tab. Nangong Xiu said, Yujin and I still have some things to do, so we will leave first. The table was in bad condition to begin with. The second prince only helped me throw it away. How can you blame it on the second prince? Mo Yunjue's lips curled into a faint smile, but there was not the slightest change of emotion in the depths of his eyes. The next time second prince and third prince come to the first pavilion, everything will be free of charge. I hope that the two princes will come here often. Seeing that Mo Yunjue gave them a way out, Nangong Xiujie's face also looked better. Thank you, young Master Mo. His voice fell. Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin were no longer willing to stay in the first tower. Today's matter was really shameful. After leaving the first tower, Nangong Yujin's face was gloomy. Bad luck. I didn't expect something like this to happen. At this moment, his heart could be said to be extremely regretful. He originally thought that today's luck would not be shallow. He did not expect that today. Not only did he not have any luck, but he also lost face. Nangong Xiujie's face was even more ugly. Yujin, do you think that Bailey Hongzhuang is really Mo Yunjue's wife? Chapter 687. I don't know. Nangong Xiujie was also puzzled. He felt that this should be the first time that Bailey Hongzhuang came to the imperial city. But if this was the case, Bailey Hongzhuang and Mo Yunjue should not know each other. Mo Yunjue would not help him at all. He often came to the first tower. Although Mo Yunjue always came and went, he still saw him a few times. According to his understanding, Mo Yunjue never liked to help people. On the contrary, Mo Yunjue absolutely did not like trouble. Could it be Bailey Hongzhuang was really Mo Yunjue's wife? This seemed to be the only explanation. The two of them were really a good match. After Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin left, the servant also walked to Mo Yunjue's side and said, Boss. Mo Yunjue raised his right hand slightly and stopped the servant's words. Clean this place up? Yes. Bailey Hongzhuang returned the child to Mo Yunjue's hand and said, Is this your child? Mo Yunjue shook his head. I don't even have a wife. How can I have child? I just heard your conversation and took a child from someone else to use. With Mo Yunjue's voice falling, Xia Jiqing and the others all breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that the situation was not as bad as they thought. This young Master Mo just came to help them. Hongzhuang, do you know this young Master Mo? Xia Jiqing couldn't help but ask. Looking at the way the two communicated, it was obviously not the first time they met. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded and smiled. Let me introduce him to everyone. He is Mo Yunjue. I have met him twice before. We are friends. If the last time they met in Blue Light City, she was not sure that Mo Yunjue was her friend, but now she was sure that he was. She wasn't an ungrateful descendant. Mo Yunjue helping her again today was already a favor between friends. Looking away, Bailey Hongzhuang said to Mo Yunjue, They're all my friend from the Azure Water School. Mo Yunjue nodded slightly and said to the crowd, It's nice to meet you all. Gong Shaoqing and the rest nodded. Their impression of Mo Yunjue was quite good. At the very least, he had helped them solve a huge problem. Thank you for what you did earlier. Bailey Hongzhuang said slowly with sincere gratitude in her eyes. Mo Yunjue waved his hand. I was forced to say that just now. I hope you don't mind. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. I understand. You were just cooperating with me. After everyone heard Mo Yunjue's words, their impression of him became even better. It seemed that Mo Yunjue should be a young master. Young Master Mo, are you the owner of the first floor? Xia Jiqing did not ignore the way the waiter addressed Mo Yunjue. In her eyes, the first floor was a very good business. Yes, a businessman can't compare to you. Mo Yunjue smiled, but his eyes could not help but look at Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang was also slightly stunned. Although she heard Mo Yunjue say that he was a businessman, she did not put it in her eyes. She did not expect that Mo Yunjue was really a businessman. He also opened a restaurant. There was nothing special about it. It was beyond her expectations. Chapter 688. Young Master Chui is overpraising me. If you have time in the future, you should come to my first pavilion. It's my treat. Mo Yunjue's posture was natural and calm. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flashed with a touch of doubt. She felt that the Mo Yunjue she saw today was slightly different from the Mo Yunjue she saw in the Luoyun Mountains. At that time, Mo Yunjue's entire body was shrouded in a gloomy aura, but now was obviously much lighter. The only thing that didn't change was that pair of eyes that were like black holes, still revealing a thick darkness. After a few simple words, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others got up and left. They had been out for a long time. The two mentors went to the vice principal to discuss the results. Maybe they had already gone back at this time. Mo Yunjue also did not stay long and just sent them out of the first pavilion. Hongzhuang, I didn't expect you to know so many people. There are even people in the Qing dynasty who know you. Xia Jiqing's eyes flashed with excitement. Hongzhuang was really amazing. The friends she knew were all amazing people. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. I only met him twice. He was able to help me today. It was also beyond my expectations. Although Dongfang Yu and the others did not speak, their hearts were also full of admiration. Since knowing Bailey Hongzhuang, she had surprised everyone too many times. Now it was not difficult to accept. I didn't expect Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujin to be such people. Although today they did not care about us because of Mo Yunjue's face, I believe that in the college tournament, they will do everything possible to embarrass us. Zhang Yinfeng frowned slightly. According to her judgment, Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujin were both vengeful people. She was afraid that they would encounter a lot of trouble at that time. Xia Jiqing put a hand on Zhang Yinfeng's shoulder. Her face was full of smiles. Yinfeng, why are you so worried? It seems that if we did not offend them today, they will not embarrass us in the college tournament. Pucci. Zhang Yinfeng couldn't help but laugh. That's true, but we still have to be careful. Everyone nodded. The inter-academy competition, this time, was really a Hongmin banquet. I don't know what kind of expression Nangong Xiujia will have when they know that we are students of Kanglan College. Ha! Xia Jiqing chuckled. It must be very exciting. Hongzhuang, if Nangong Xiujia knows that you are not Mo Yunjue's wife, will he blame Mo Yunjue? Chui Haoyan's eyes revealed a trace of worry. Mo Yunjue had helped them out today, so he was naturally a friend. They could leave the Qing dynasty as long as they finished participating in the college tournament, but Mo Yunjue's restaurant was located here, so naturally they could not leave. If Mo Yunhuan was implicated because of this, they would feel very apologetic. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flashed with a touch of thought, and then said, it should not be. Since Mo Yunjue can make Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujin so afraid, I don't think they would dare to do anything to Mo Yunjue. She felt that Mo Yunjue was definitely not a simple character. His background should not be simple. Otherwise, it would be impossible for a mere merchant to make the prince fear him. Chapter 689. Not long after Bailey Hongzhuang and the others returned to the inn, Lu Huayin and Huan Chuyu also came back with them. After seeing Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, Huan Chuyu slowly said, what you did today was right. The Kanglan College has the confidence of the Kanglan College. This matter is the fault of the Lingyin College. Even Huan Chuyu, who had always been kind, had a sullen expression on his face at the moment. The Lingyin College's approach was too much. Xia Jiqing and the others were relieved. Since even the vice principal agreed with their actions, they did not need to worry. Everyone will stay in this and first. Let's see how the Lingyin College plans to solve this matter. Since we were invited, we naturally have to walk into the Lingyin College. Huan Chuyo's eyebrows revealed a trace of pride. Even if the strength of the Lingyin College was not what it used to be, the Kanglin College had never been a soft persimmon. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others returned to the inn. Looking at the situation, the vice principal was going to come forward. Aside from his identity as the vice principal of the Kanglin College, he was also a fourth-grade alchemist. Just this identity alone was enough to attract the respect of others. At the same time, the Lingyin College was also having an exchange at the moment. Wang Yulong's face was very ugly. He originally wanted to embarrass the Kanglin College, but he did not think that they would be the ones to be embarrassed. The vice principal of the Lingyin College, Lin Yinghao's face was gloomy. Teacher Wan, you have gone too far this time. It is fine if you make things a little difficult, but if you make things too difficult, the Kanglin College is not a vegetarian. Now, it was clear that the Kanglin College had made their attitude clear. If they did not invite the Kanglin College team back, the other party would not come back at all. Their college tournament was prepared for the Kanglin College. If the Kanglin College did not participate, their hard work was tantamount to nothing. The most important thing was that the Kanglin College was in the right. If the Kanglin College team left like this, it would be understandable, and they would have a bad reputation. Ruan Yulong obviously knew that this matter was not right. He was uneasy, but did not know how to solve it. Vice Principal, this is indeed my fault, but I really don't know what to do in this situation. Ruan Yulong looked at Lin Yinghao with hope. He only hoped that Lin Yinghao could help him out and not affect his position in the school. You were too reckless this time. It's impossible for you not to be punished. As for how to resolve this matter, I will discuss it with the headmaster, Lin Yinghao said lightly. Ruan Yulong's heart sank when he heard Lin Yinghao's words. He knew that Lin Yinghao was telling the truth, but he wasn't doing this for him. However, he hadn't expected the Kanglin College's attitude to be so resolute. Thinking of this, he hated the Kanglin College even more. When the student exchange began, he would definitely not let the other party have a good time. The next day, Bailey Hongzhuang got up early. They had heard that there was a Wubao pavilion in the imperial city of the Qing dynasty, and there were treasures that cultivators needed. Chapter 690. When Bailey Hongzhuang walked out of the room, Xia Jiqing and the others were already waiting outside. Now, they only felt that living in this inn was much better than living in Lingyin College. Otherwise, with Lingyin College's attitude towards them, they were afraid that there would be a lot of trouble living there. Now that they were living outside, they were happy to be free. It was not a problem to go there and have a look. Hongzhuang, you are here. Xia Jiqing's face was filled with a happy smile as she quickly walked to the side of Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly, seeing that Xia Jiqing's mood was not affected by the college tournament. Instead, it was like coming to the Qing dynasty for an outing. She could not help but smile. She had to admit that Xia Jiqing's mentality was really good. Ordinary things could not affect her mood at all. Not only Bailey Hongzhuang, but Zhang Yinfeng and the others also felt that Xia Jiqing was a lively person, which made their mood a lot better. Since everyone is here, let's go. Dongfang Yu looked at the crowd and said, Wubao Pavilion was very famous in the imperial city of the Qing dynasty. Just by asking around, everyone knew where Wubao Pavilion was located. When everyone arrived at Wubao Pavilion, everyone's eyes could not help but fall on the purple-black building. The building was quite exquisite. It could be seen that the builder had spent a lot of thought when building this building. A strong sense of heritage came over, making everyone unconsciously feel a sense of respect. Wubao Pavilion was divided into 3 floors. The first floor sold various pills needed by cultivators. The second floor sold weapons needed by cultivators. As for the third floor, it sold inscriptions. Not to mention the first and second floor, just the inscriptions on the third floor were enough to consolidate the position of Wubao Pavilion. Inscriptionists had always been rare. Many cultivators did not have the opportunity to come into contact with inscriptions. But in Wubao Pavilion, there were inscriptions for sale. How could all the cultivators not be attracted? Everyone slowly walked into Wubao Pavilion. As soon as they walked in, they found that the business of Wubao Pavilion was really good. There were many cultivators inside, all buying the pills they needed. Elixirs were consumables. Every cultivator had a huge demand for them. Therefore, Wubao Pavilion's elixirs were in high demand. The layout of the Wubao Pavilion was more ingenious than ordinary shops, giving people a comfortable feeling. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others' eyes were filled with admiration. The Wubao Pavilion was indeed famous in the imperial city. The things inside were really eye-opening. The medicinal pills in Wubao Pavilion are so complete. Many medicinal pills that are difficult to buy on ordinary days can be seen here. Xia Jiqing's words could not hide her excitement. Naturally, the price of medicinal pills was extremely expensive. However, most of the time, even if one had the money to buy them, they wouldn't have medicinal pills. The Wubao Pavilion had the most complete set of medicinal pills she had ever seen. It saved a lot of trouble for cultivators. Bai Junyu's face was filled with a bright smile. The Qing dynasty is a big country, and the number of alchemists in it is much more than that of ordinary small countries. Naturally, it can't be compared. Xia Jiqing nodded slightly. This was also true. The things in a big country were always very rich. It was an eye-opener for her. Chapter 691. For a time, everyone's eyes fell on the counter, choosing the pills they needed. Before they left for the Qing dynasty, they had prepared a lot of money. If they encountered something they needed here, they could buy it. Bailey Hongzhuang also looked at the pills here, but did not have the idea of buying. After all, she was an alchemist herself. However, just as Xia Jiqing and others were shopping, a familiar and provocative voice sounded from behind them. Oh, I was wondering who it was. It turned out to be a guy who can't even prove his identity. Lu Jingqi's eyes were filled with pride and sarcasm. Yesterday, due to the presence of the mentor, she did not have the opportunity to ridicule Bailey Hongzhuang and others. Today, they only thought that Wubao Pavilion was very famous and wanted to take a look. They did not expect to meet here again. What a coincidence! Bailey Hongzhuang and others slowly turn around. After seeing the cultivators of Beihai College, their faces changed a bit. I didn't look at the almanac when I went out today. As soon as I came out, I encountered some eyesores. It really affects my mood. Xia Jiqing did not hesitate to fight back. She was not a person who would suffer in silence. Xia Jiqing, you are really eloquent. Lu Jingqi's eyes were gloomy, but she soon became calm again. It's much better than some people who are blocked outside the door and can't get in. Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Lu Jingqi indifferently and turned to Xia Jiqing. Why bother with mad dogs? They like to bark. Do you want to accompany them? She was really annoyed with this group of guys who only knew how to find trouble. Wherever she went, they would appear. They were simply annoying flies. Listening to Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Xia Jiqing could not help but give a thumbs up. When Hongzhuang opened her mouth, it was really awesome. You're right. Just let them bark. Why bother with them? Xia Jiqing smiled and nodded, then turned around and continued to choose pills. Lu Jingqi and the others' faces became very ugly. Bailey Hongzhuang's words were too vicious. Originally, they were the ones who had the upper hand and mocked Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. Now, Bailey Hongzhuang's words put them in an awkward position. Bailey Hongzhuang, don't go too far. Lu Jinglin couldn't help but say. Bailey Hongzhuang laughed mockingly. Miss Lu's words are really interesting. From the beginning to the end, you were the one who came looking for trouble. Now you're asking me not to go overboard. Your logic is really strange. Bailey Hongzhuang looked coldly at Lu Jingqi and the others and said, if you want to spar, just say it and we will accompany you to the end. If you don't want to spar, then shut your mouths obediently, lest you attract more trouble. Bailey Hongzhuang's words were harsh. This group of people who liked to stir up trouble, if she didn't say it here, they would continue to cause trouble. As soon as these words came out, Lu Jingqi and the others looked at each other. It was difficult to hide their embarrassment. They couldn't help but look at Xiao Lanmei, but they saw that Xiao Lanmei had already gone to the counter to choose pills and was not in the team. Obviously, Xiao Lanmei had no interest in what they were doing. As for fighting, if the last thing happened again, Lu Jingqi would really collapse. Chapter 692. It didn't take long for Xia Jiqing and the others to choose their pills and turn to the second floor of Wu Bao Pavilion. I heard that Wu Bao Pavilion's weapons are very famous. If you don't have a suitable weapon, you can choose one or two here. Zhang Yunfeng's pretty face showed a happy expression. For cultivators, this weapon was extremely important. Xia Jiqing and the others also showed a look of interest. As their strength gradually increased, some weapons were no longer suitable for them. They really needed to buy a more suitable weapon. I don't know how many weapons Wu Bao Pavilion has, but it shouldn't let us down. Dongfang Yu smiled, his amorous peach blossom eyes exuding a charming charm. However, when everyone saw the dazzling array of weapons on the second floor, their eyes couldn't help but show a touch of amazement. The number of weapons was beyond their expectations. Swords, spears, sticks, whips, everything was available here. Different levels, different prices. Just by looking at the annotations, one could understand at a glance. Do you want to buy weapons? A female attendant walked in front of everyone, her delicate face filled with a polite smile, making people unable to help but take a second look. I want to buy a sword, Cui Haoyan said. His sword had been used for some years, and now there were two faint dents on the edge of the sword. It was no longer suitable. He had already wanted to change his sword earlier, but he had never found a suitable one. There were so many weapons in Wu Bao Pavilion, and he also hoped to find a suitable sword for himself. Young master, please come with me. The attendant smiled, slightly bowed, and slightly raised her left hand, motioning Cui Haoyan to follow her. Zhang Yunfeng also accompanied Cui Haoyan to choose a suitable sword. As for the others, they were looking at the weapons in Wu Bao Pavilion. With so many treasures gathered here, it could be seen how strong the background of Wu Bao Pavilion was. If there was no strong background, it was impossible to create such a Wu Bao Pavilion. Here, it was a martial artist treasure pavilion. Xia Jiqing's eyes fell on a fiery red whip in front of her. This whip was extremely tough, and the color was beautiful. It was very good. Jiqing, this whip is very suitable for you, Zhang Yunfeng said with a smile. Xia Jiqing smiled slightly, but after her eyes fell on the high price, she reluctantly put down the long whip. She was not favored in her family and did not have much money. She could not afford these things for the time being. Lu Qingyue had been following Gong Shaoqing. Since yesterday, Gong Shaoqing said that she was his fiancée. Lu Qingyue's heart was very happy. Even if it was fake, she still felt that her relationship with Gong Shaoqing was one step closer. Zhang Yunfeng, Bailey Hongzhuang, and Xia Jiqing stood in a row, looking at Lu Qingyue, who was like a little tail behind Gong Shaoqing. The three of them couldn't help but sigh. Why bother? Lu Qingyue really likes Gong Shaoqing. Gong Shaoqing only helped her yesterday, and she was already extremely excited. Zhang Yunfeng shook her head and sighed. She and Gong Shaoqing had known each other for a long time. She was very clear that Gong Shaoqing only saw Lu Qingyue as a younger sister. However, Lu Qingyue never understood this point. Chapter 693. Miss Lu is beautiful, strong, and an alchemist. I don't know why, but Shaoqing doesn't like her. Xia Jiqing's eyes flashed with a helpless light. This kind of situation made her sigh. With Xia Jiqing's voice falling, Zhang Yunfeng's eyes couldn't help but fall on Xia Jiqing's body, and a sly smile appeared on her face. Jiqing, in my opinion, this Bai Junyu is also very good to you. I don't know if you have any thoughts. As soon as these words came out, Xia Jiqing couldn't help but be stunned. Yunfeng, what nonsense are you talking about? There is nothing between Bai Junyu and me. Oh, Bailey Hongzhuang also chuckled and touched Xia Jiqing's shoulder. Look, Bai Junyu is looking at you. Xia Jiqing couldn't help but look at the place where Bai Junyu was. Sure enough, Bai Junyu smiled at her. Seeing this, Zhang Yunfeng and Bailey Hongzhuang looked at each other, and their hearts were a little funny. As early as not long after school started, they had already discovered that Bai Junyu was not just interested in Xia Jiqing, but Xia Jiqing seemed to be unaware of it. You're all talking nonsense. Xia Jiqing left a sentence and ran to other places to look for weapons. In this regard, Bailey Hongzhuang and Zhang Yunfeng also smiled helplessly. It seems that Bai Junyu wants to pursue Jiqing. I'm afraid it will take a lot of time. Zhang Yinfeng smiled and sighed. If you really like her, it doesn't matter if you spend some more time. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and picked up the long whip that Xia Jiqing had put down before. Although she and Jiqing were good sisters, she didn't ask much about Jiqing's family background. Now it seemed that it should be similar to her. Cui Haoyan was very happy. He finally found a weapon in Wu Bao Pavilion. With this weapon, his combat effectiveness could be improved a little. As for Gong Xiaoqing and the others, they didn't need to buy new weapons. Their weapons were very handy, and they didn't need to buy new ones. Then, everyone's eyes couldn't help but fall on the stairs to the 3rd floor. There are inscriptions for sale on the 3rd floor. I have only heard of inscriptions, but I have never seen inscriptions with my own eyes, Zhang Yinfeng said with a smile. Lu Qingyue's face was also filled with emotion. Inscriptionists are extremely rare. This Wu Bao Pavilion even sells such rare things. It is really amazing. Let's go up. If we can have inscriptions for weapons, that would be great. Cui Haoyan had just bought a new weapon, and he was very happy. If he could buy a suitable inscription for this weapon, then his combat strength would increase by more than 1 level. Just when everyone's as excited, SS, Yunfeng's S have some guests, S, T disturb, S, you teat distura, you read tis, T have, T disturb, T Yunfeng, S is, T, they, SSS, they teat, it. Chapter 694. The 3rd floor of Wu Bao Pavilion was not as spectacular as the 1st and 2nd floors. The so-called inscription shop was just a small counter. Compared to selling inscriptions, Bailey Hongzhuang felt that it was more like a tea house. The decoration was very elegant, and there was a little tea fragrance. On the tea table, 3 old men with white beards were facing each other with flushed faces. Clearly, they were arguing endlessly over a certain issue. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the situation and knew that the 3 old men must be inscriptionists. Now that they were arguing endlessly, it must be because of academic problems. It could be seen that the 3 inscription masters put all their energy into inscriptions. Otherwise, they would not be arguing with each other. Looking at the counter on the side, she thought that the inscriptions here should be drawn by the 3 inscription masters. However, it was obvious that the 3 inscription masters did not draw inscriptions for sale. They just took some inscriptions here to support themselves. Maybe it was to fulfill their agreement with the owner of Wu Bao Pavilion. Otherwise, the 3rd floor of Wu Bao Pavilion would not be like this. The waiter at the counter could not help but smile when he saw Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. Are you here to buy inscriptions? Gong Xiaoqing and the others nodded. Their eyes fell on the inscriptions on the counter. There were not many inscriptions here. They could only see a pattern, but they did not understand what it was used for. What kind of inscriptions do you want to buy? You can tell me. I can help you. The waiter smiled. Gong Xiaoqing and the others' eyes lit up. It was well known that inscriptions could improve the combat effectiveness of weapons. It was an excellent aid for cultivators. Just as everyone was thinking about the inscriptions that were suitable for them, a group of cultivators from Beihai College also came up. They were also very interested in the inscriptions of Wu Bao Pavilion. Usually they did not have the opportunity to buy inscriptions. At this moment, seeing that the cultivators of Kanglin College were already choosing inscriptions, they also hurriedly squeezed in. They absolutely could not let the people of Kanglin College choose all the good inscriptions. The Inter Academy tournament was just around the corner. With an additional inscription, their performance at that time would be much better. How could they just sit back and watch their opponents improve? We also want to buy inscriptions, Lu Jingqi said hurriedly. It was as if the inscription would disappear if she spoke one word later. The waiter said, "Our Wu Bao Pavilion has a rule that we can only sell 1 inscription per day." Hearing the attendant's words, everyone was stunned. They didn't know that Wu Bao Pavilion had such a rule. Didn't that mean that out of all the people present, only 1 person could buy the inscription? But so many of us want to buy it. Who is the inscription going to be sold to? Gong Xiaoqing had a questioning look in his eyes. The rules of the inscription sale were really strange. There should be a reason for it. There are 2 rules. As long as one of you can answer my question, This inscription will be given to you for free. If you can't answer, then only the highest bidder will get it. There was a faint smile on the attendant's face. Obviously, he was very familiar with this situation. You guys came early today, so this inscription has not been sold yet. Chapter 695. What question? Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes showed a look of interest. This Wu Bao Pavilion's question was really strange. Only by answering the question would they be able to give it away for free. Presumably, this question would not be easy to answer. Everyone's eyes fell on the waiter. The next moment, the waiter directly took out a piece of paper and placed it in front of the crowd. He said, "This is the question. When making the inscription liquid, how do the green spirit, wood stone, and the tailless flower stone dissolve?" When everyone saw this question, they were all dumbfounded. They did not have the slightest understanding of inscription techniques. Not to mention this question, they did not even know what the green spirit, wood stone, and the tailless flower stone were. This kind of question, besides the inscription masters, no one can answer it. Xia Jiqing could not help but sigh. She knew that this question would not be simple. But this question was too difficult. Lu Jingqi and the others also looked at each other. They did not know what this thing was, so the answer was impossible. Seeing everyone's expression, the waiter was not surprised. In fact, the questions written by the three inscription masters were basically impossible for anyone to answer. However, inscriptions were very precious. It was naturally not a simple matter to take it away without spending a single penny. Bailey Hongzhuang also felt a burst of laughter after seeing this question. The inscription master who made this question was clearly trying to embarrass everyone. Even those who had a little understanding of inscription techniques would not be able to answer it. If she guessed correctly, the inscription master had an ulterior motive for making this question. From the beginning to the end, he never thought of giving away the inscription for free. Raising this question was just to let everyone back off. If there was no such rule, she was afraid that many people would complain about only selling one inscription per day. As a result, it directly diverted everyone's attention. Who can answer this kind of question? In my opinion, it's better to go directly to the highest bidder. Shui Haoling said. Obviously, no one present could answer this question. Xia Jiqing and the others' eyes could not help but fall on Shui Haoling. It seemed that Shui Haoling was best at throwing money. However, Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly said, "Who said that no one can answer this question?" As soon as she said this, everyone looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in astonishment. Could it be that Hongzhuang had a solution to such a complicated problem? Bailey Hongzhuang, don't try to be brave. Be careful not to become a joke. Lu Jingqi sneered. An inscription master was an existence that many people could not come into contact with. It was absolutely impossible for Bailey Hongzhuang to know about it. Xiao Lanmei looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in surprise. This was not the time to be in the limelight. In fact, no one could answer this question except inscriptionists. Xia Jiqing and the others were also puzzled. They only knew that Bailey Hongzhuang was an alchemist, but they never knew that she had an understanding of inscription techniques. Grind the green spirit wood stone and the tailless flower stone, add the juice of the green vine tree, and cook it in a fire. Then it will be dissolved. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly said. Lu Jingqi and the others saw that Bailey Hongzhuang was so confident, but they were also skeptical. What juice of the green vine tree? They had never heard of it. Chapter 696. Lu Jingqi and the others looked at Bailey Hongzhuang doubtfully. What she said couldn't be true, right? The waiter also had a stunned expression. So far, no one had been able to answer the questions here, but today someone had actually answered it. Waiter, if what she said is wrong, you can say it directly. Don't worry about it. Lu Jingqi said. Although she felt that what Bailey Hongzhuang said was very reasonable and did not seem to be nonsense, she did not believe that Bailey Hongzhuang could really answer the questions about inscriptions. The cultivators of Beihai College didn't take it to heart. It was simply impossible to answer. However, the next answer of the waiter made them dumbfounded. The girl is right. The waiter's face showed an amazed smile. I did not expect the girl to have dabbled in inscriptions. The girl can choose any inscription and take it away for free. Everyone stared blankly at Bailey Hongzhuang. Was there a mistake? She actually answered correctly. Was Bailey Hongzhuang not blindly answering the questions before? Wow, Hongzhuang, you are really amazing. Xia Jiqing's face was full of excitement. If it were not for the noise on the third floor of the Wubao Pavilion, she would have jumped up directly. Too cool. The cultivators of Beihai College were completely defeated. In the eyes of Gong Shaoqing and the others, there was a thick color of astonishment. They did not know when Bailey Hongzhuang had dabbled in inscriptions. The cultivators of Beihai College looked embarrassed, but their hearts could not help but be amazed. They did not expect Bailey Hongzhuang to have an understanding of inscriptions. It seemed that they had underestimated her. Lu Jingqi was very unhappy, but also somewhat envious of Bailey Hongzhuang. Inscriptions were very difficult to buy on ordinary days. Not to mention, the inscriptions of the Wubao Pavilion were not ordinary inscriptions. It was very expensive to buy one, but now Bailey Hongzhuang could take it away for free. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's next words made the practitioners of Beihai College stunned again. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Xia Jiqing and the others and said, "You can look around and see if there are any suitable inscriptions. Whoever finds the right one can take it." "Hongzhuang, don't you want it?" Zhang Yinfeng was surprised. This inscription was very helpful to practitioners. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head slightly. "My sword is not suitable for inscriptions yet." Hearing this, Zhang Yinfeng and the others also understood that with the level of the Lu Li sword, these inscriptions might not be suitable. If he casually used an inscription, he might destroy the glazed sword. "Take a look. Whoever finds the most suitable one can take it." Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. They were not people who liked to take advantage of others. Although there were many inscriptions here, they might not be suitable for everyone. Only after understanding the attributes of the inscriptions would they know whether they were suitable or not. When her voice fell, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but walk towards the three old men who were quarreling. She was very curious about what the three old men were quarreling about. Lu Jingqi and Lu Jinglin's eyes were also filled with an incredible look. Bailey Hongzhuang's indifferent appearance was obviously not fake. Could it be that Bailey Hongzhuang really did not want this inscription? But the result was already obvious. Wasn't this too generous? Chapter 697. Having said that, the cultivators of Beihai College felt that Bailey Hongzhuang was stupid, but at the same time, they secretly envied the cultivators of Kanglan College. If they could get an inscription because of this, it would be too cost-effective. There was only one inscription. Presumably that Songlan College's cultivators would argue over it. Bailey Hongzhuang thought that she had done a good thing, but she didn't know that it was likely to cause a split in their team. Lu Jingqi and others looked at each other, waiting to see the next joke. However, what happened next exceeded their expectations once again. The cultivators of Kanglan College not only did not have the slightest dispute, but on the contrary, everyone was extremely modest. This kind of modesty from the heart was absolutely not faked. Lu Jingqi and others could understand at a glance, and their hearts were even more surprised. This was really too strange. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly approached the three old men who were arguing and gradually heard what they were saying. "I said, it should be black gold, or and fiery ardent stone ground into powder, then mixed with the condensate, and steamed with a flame of 60 degrees. The old man in white said, "Old Li, your method won't work. The fiery ardent stone is very violent. If it is steamed with a flame of 60 degrees, it is likely to explode." On the other side, an old man in a gray robe said with a serious face, "Old G, the fiery ardent stone is indeed violent, but the concentration of the condensate can be increased, which can get rid of the possibility of explosion, but I think 60 degrees is not enough. It can't mix the two together well." Another old man in a black robe also expressed his opinion. "You are all wrong. There is absolutely no problem with my method." Bai Jingtian waved his hand. His expression was unusually calm. He had been thinking about this method for a long time, and there was absolutely no problem. "Old Bai, you are too arbitrary. If there is a sudden explosion, what should we do?" Ji Yinma shook his head. They were already old bones. They could not withstand such a toss. This old man has lived to this age. What things have I not seen? Even if it really explodes. Bah, it's impossible for it to explode. Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but smile when she heard the three old men arguing. She didn't expect the seniors to still be like children at their age. How interesting. At this moment, Bai Jingtian and the others noticed Bailey Hongzhuang's approach and immediately said, "Where did this little girl come from? You can't understand these things. Let's go, we still have things to do." Ji Yunma waved his hand, motioning Bailey Hongzhuang to leave quickly. He didn't care about anything else, but if the young people saw them quarreling like this, wouldn't it be a joke? These old fellows have quite the temper. Xiao Hei pursed its lips in dissatisfaction. It was not willing to listen to such things that it did not understand at all. This movement also attracted the attention of Lu Jingqi and the others. Lu Jingqi immediately walked to Bailey Hongzhuang's side and said, "The seniors have important things to discuss. Why don't you leave quickly?" These three were all famous inscription masters in the Qing dynasty. Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to be in the limelight and dared to come here. Chapter 698. Greetings to the Masters. Lu Jingqi's face was filled with a pleasant and well-behaved smile. She was just like a very outstanding young lady. This Lu Jingqi is really shameless. She won't let go of any opportunity to show off. Xiaobai frowned. This kind of show-off girl wanted to step on the master to win the favor of the inscription masters. We must not let this annoying woman succeed. Xiao Hei's face was full of indignation. If this kind of girl stole the limelight, it was simply unbearable. Seeing Xiao Hei and Xiaobai so excited, Bailey Hongzhuang also smiled. The three masters are all experienced people. At a glance, you can see what Lu Jingqi is up to. It is impossible to let her succeed. Bailey Hongzhuang knew that since the three inscription masters could argue over such a problem, it could be seen that they were all devoted to inscription. In her previous life, she often spent time with these old men who pursued progress. They were not so sophisticated. On the contrary, they were very simple. However, once they were provoked, they would not care about the other party's face at all. However, in her eyes, such old men were very cute. Bai Jingtian and others glanced at Lu Jingqi faintly, but did not speak. There were countless people who tried to make friends with them, but they were too lazy to pay attention to them. It was just that this girl belittled others to show off. This kind of behavior was really despicable. "Go!" Ji Yinma waved his hand. Apparently, he did not intend to say anything more. Seeing the attitude of the three inscription masters, Lu Jingqi was also a little disappointed, but it was not beyond her expectations. After all, without enough identity and status, it was extremely difficult to make friends with inscription masters. Lu Jingqi turned around, but saw that Bailey Hongzhuang had not left. She could not help but say, "Why are you still here?" Bailey Hongzhuang did not even bother to look at Lu Jingqi. This girl was invisible in her eyes. With a faint smile on her lips, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes fell on Bai Jingtian and others. She said, "Seniors, are you sure you want me to leave? If I really leave, I'm afraid you'll regret it." As soon as these words came out, the eyes of Bai Jingtian and the other two all fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. She is a beautiful girl, but she dares to speak such nonsense in front of us. Quickly leave. Bai Jingtian said angrily. What he hated the most was that someone dared to interrupt them when they were discussing. Once their train of thought was interrupted, they might not be able to get it back for many days. "If you don't leave, I'll find someone to chase you away." Ji Yama's expression was also unfriendly. It seemed that they had been friendly for too long, and many people did not know how powerful they were. Lu Jingqi looked at Bailey Hongzhuang speechlessly. This woman was really an idiot. She dared to say such words in front of the three inscription masters. Wasn't she looking for death? In her opinion, this Bailey Hongzhuang was most likely crazy about being in the limelight. The fiery ardent stone is very violent, and the black raven gold ore is relatively cold. One is cold, and the other is hot. When the two come into contact with each other, they're like water and fire. Even if the condensate can neutralize a little, it can't be completely integrated. Only by adding another material can it be successfully integrated. Chapter 699. The more Bai Jingtian and the others listened to Bailey Hongzhuang's words, the brighter their eyes became. What Bailey Hongzhuang said was exactly what they were thinking about. It seemed that Bailey Hongzhuang was also quite knowledgeable about inscriptions, and her understanding seemed to be very complicated. This problem had troubled the three of them for many days, and they had not come up with a final answer. As for the experiment, they might have been able to do it in the past. Which inscriptionist did not have several explosions when they were mixing inscriptions? It was just that they were young in the past, and their reaction speed was relatively fast. Now they were really old. If they could not react when the explosion happened, they would really lose their lives. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang was about to leave, Bai Jingtian hurriedly said, "Little girl, what do you want to add?" Bailey Hongzhuang turned her back to Bai Jingtian and the others, with a faint smile on her lips. "Star powder." "Star powder?" Bai Jingtian and the others looked at each other, and they all had an epiphany. Star powder is very gentle, and together with the condensate, it can neutralize the violence of the fiery ardent stone and the coldness of the black raven gold ore. Ji Yima thought and said, "Oh, why didn't I think of it?" Bai Jingtian patted his head. He had thought of many ways before, but he had never thought of star powder. Qin Qingwu nodded. However, the amount of star powder is also a problem. A small amount of star powder is not enough, but once the amount is too much, it will also cause the effect to be lost. The three of them all looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in surprise. They had not seen a young person who understood inscriptions for a long time. What's more, the girl in front of them was only in her teens. How could she know so much? It was rare to meet such a good seedling. How could they let Bailey Hongzhuang leave like this? Bai Jingtian could not help but say, "Little girl, come back and tell us." He had thought about this question for so long, but he still could not figure it out. Now, a little girl knew the answer just by listening to their conversation. It was really amazing. However, Bailey Hongzhuang said, "Seniors have already asked me to leave. Coincidentally, I still have some matters to attend to, so I'll take my leave first." Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang was about to leave, Bai Jingtian and the others became anxious. They hurriedly got up and walked to Bailey Hongzhuang's side. Bai Jingtian looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a kind and cunning smile on his face. "Little girl, are you unhappy about what happened before?" Junior wouldn't dare. Bailey Hongzhuang said indifferently, "This old man apologizes for underestimating you previously. Hurry up and discuss the amount of star powder with us. How about it?" Bai Jingtian's face was full of smiles. He did not feel that there was anything shameful about apologizing to a junior. Seeing Bai Jingtian like this, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but think of the old guys in the family in her previous life. They were clearly the same, cute old men. Without waiting for Bailey Hongzhuang to answer, Bai Jingtian and Jiunma had already pulled Bailey Hongzhuang to a chair. Lu Jingqi looked at the scene in front of her in a daze. The situation changed so fast that she could not react for a while. What kind of joke was this? Bailey Hongzhuang really understood inscriptions? Not only that, but she also solved the problem that troubled the three inscription masters? How is this possible? However, all of this happened. Chapter 700. They only saw that the three inscription masters were originally angry, but they suddenly changed their attitude and apologized to Bailey Hongzhuang. Such a dramatic scene. What did Bailey Hongzhuang do? My God, what kind of characters are these three inscription masters? They actually apologized to Hongzhuang. Hongzhuang is really defying the heavens. Zhang Yinfeng couldn't help but sigh with emotion. When Bailey Hongzhuang made a move, it was simply earth-shattering. Her little heart was also stimulated. Dongfang Yu's eyes were overflowing with appreciation. Hongzhuang was always so outstanding and dazzling. When did Hongzhuang have such an understanding of inscription techniques? She knows too many things. Hongzhuang is simply my idol. Xia Jiqing's eyes were full of amazement. In her heart, Hongzhuang was simply omnipotent. Inscription techniques, this was a very complex thing. She wondered how Hongzhuang's brain was developed. Hongzhuang was now only 16 years old. Not only was she strong, but she was also proficient in alchemy. Now, she even dabbled in inscription techniques. Even if she used all her time, she still found it hard to believe that Hong Zhuang could master so many things. But all of this really happened. Lu Qinyue's face was also full of shock. Since she was a child, she had been called a genius by everyone. Not only was her strength quite outstanding, but she also had an excellent talent in alchemy. However, only she knew how hard it was for her to learn alchemy. There simply wasn't enough time. If she didn't have the will to support herself, she absolutely wouldn't have succeeded. However, Bailey Hongzhuang actually had the time to understand inscription techniques when she was juggling cultivation and alchemy. Was she made of iron? The most important thing was that Bailey Hongzhuang was able to answer the questions of the three inscription masters. It could be seen that Bailey Hongzhuang's knowledge of inscription techniques was absolutely not as simple as just dabbling in them. Perhaps she was also very proficient in inscription techniques. When she thought of this, Lu Qinyue felt that Bailey Hongzhuang was too terrible. She simply couldn't imagine what Bailey Hongzhuang's future achievements would be. What a freak! Lu Jinglin's eyes were still filled with disdain. She would never admit that Bailey Hongzhuang was very good. Maybe Bailey Hongzhuang happened to hear the answer to this question. At such a young age, how could she solve a problem that the inscription masters couldn't? Anyone with a brain would know that Bailey Hongzhuang definitely didn't come up with the answer herself. After Bailey Hongzhuang sat, Bai Jingtian couldn't wait. Little girl, how do you think I should put the star powder? When should I put it? Ever since he found out about the star powder, he had a rough idea of how to solve this problem. However, he wanted to know if this little girl had the same idea as him. First, boil the fiery ardent stone and black crow gold, or together with the condensate for 5 minutes before putting it in. For drawing inscriptions, Bailey Hongzhuang may not have absolute confidence, but for configuring inscription fluids, she was very confident. Because during this time, she had been learning how to configure inscription fluids in the Chaos Ring. From the old man in the Chaos Ring, she learned about the attributes of different metal ores and what she needed to pay attention to when configuring inscription fluids. Just like when she learned alchemy, the first thing she learned was not alchemy, but the understanding of medicinal herbs. Chapter 701. The old woman in the Chaos Ring had a deep understanding of inscription. She had a good memory, but it took her a long time to remember so many metal ores and the method of dissolving different metal ores. Until now, she still had a lot of things that she didn't fully understand, but most of the problems in configuring the inscription liquid could be solved by herself. However, with Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Bai Jingtian and the other two were all surprised. This method was obviously different from what they had imagined. Why do you put it in after boiling for 5 minutes? Ji Yinma asked immediately. He never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would be so accurate, but he felt that this seemed to be a way which made his eyes light up. Star powder is a very strange substance. If you put star powder in before, it can't be completely neutralized if the amount is too small. Once you put too much, the effect of the inscription liquid will decline a lot, and the inscription effect will also be greatly reduced. So, after 5 minutes of boiling, when the conflict between the fiery ardent stone and the black raven gold becomes more and more intense, you only need to add a small amount of star powder to completely solve the problem. With a faint, confident light lingering on her delicate and perfect face, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes fell on the three of them, and she said, I don't know what the three seniors think. Bai Jingtian and the other two had been completely immersed in their own contemplation. Bailey Hongzhuang's words were very reasonable. They had always thought of placing these materials before cooking. Now it seemed that this method was more appropriate. In this way, this young girl had undoubtedly opened a brand new door for them, allowing them to broaden their horizons. Yes, this method is really excellent. It solves the problem perfectly. Qin Qingwu's face was full of admiration. No matter from which point of view, there was no problem. If it weren't for this little girl's reminder, they didn't know when they would be able to solve the problem. Bai Jingtian also showed a happy smile. Little girl, what's your name? Compared with his previous dissatisfaction with Bailey Hongzhuang, the more Bai Jingtian looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, the more he liked her. He hadn't seen such a young and promising junior for many years. She was simply a great seedling in the inscription field, I'm Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang stood up and bowed. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang being so polite, Bai Jingtian and the other two were even more impressed. Such a young person was really rare. Bailey girl, how do you know how to solve this problem? Ji and Ma couldn't help asking. Bailey Hongzhuang was too young. I learned a lot of information about inscription from my master before, so I can answer it. Bai Jingtian and the other two looked at each other. Bailey Hongzhuang's answer was very modest, but it clearly meant that she answered it herself. Chapter 702. Bailey girl, I wonder if you can tell us your master's name? There was a trace of curiosity in Qin Qingwu's eyes. Bailey Hongzhuang could have such achievements at such a young age. It could be seen that her master was definitely not a nobody. Bailey Hongzhuang pretended to smile awkwardly. My master is an idle man. He doesn't like me to say his name. Hearing this, Bai Jingtian and the other two were not surprised. Some masters like to live an idle life. Even old guys like them were too lazy to pay attention to some disputes. They just wanted to live a leisurely life. We understand. Bai Jingtian waved his hand. Your master must be an inscription grandmaster since he can teach a disciple like you. Bai Jingtian knew very well that he was at most an inscription master. Bailey Hongzhuang's master was enough to be called an inscription grandmaster, because the disciple taught by the other party could solve problems that they could not understand. It could be seen that the other party was powerful. Girl, I still have a question here. Why don't you answer it again? Ji and Ma's eyes were full of interest. He also wanted to know how capable Bailey Hongzhuang was. Maybe it was a fluke that she could answer one question. Maybe she just happened to hear her master talk about this question. Unless she could answer other questions again, it was a good skill. Senior, please ask. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and talked with Bai Jingtian and the others. She seemed to have returned to the feeling of testing each other with a group of old guys in her previous life. She really missed it. How can the cat's eye glazed stone and the fiery ardent stone be dissolved? The fiery ardent stone was a metal or often used in making fire attribute inscriptions, but it was too violent. It was easy to cause problems with a little carelessness. Therefore, inscriptionists loved and hated the fiery ardent stone. Bai Jingtian and Qin Qingwu also looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a faint smile. They also wanted to know if Bailey Hongzhuang could answer it. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes swept across the faces of Bai Jingtian and the other two, and the corners of her mouth slowly spread into a smile. The cat's eye colored glazed stone is very warm, so there is no problem with it fusing with the fiery ardent stone. It's just that the cat's eye glazed stone is too hard, and it's impossible to grind it into powder with tools. However, you only need to add the black meteor liquid to soften it, and then mix it with the fiery ardent stone. However, I have a little idea about the fusion of these two. If I can add some gilt stone powder, the effect of the inscription liquid will be better. Bailey Hongzhuang directly expressed her thoughts. Now, she had engraved the properties of each metal ore in her heart. At the same time, she also had some insights of her own. Just like the old man in the Chaos Ring, he would often do something unexpected, and in the end, he would always achieve good results. Inscription techniques required a variety of experiments in order to create better inscriptions. Gold-plated stone powder. Bai Jingtian frowned slightly. No one had ever proposed this idea, but the gold-plated stone did have some effect in this regard. If this was really possible, then the effect of his inscriptions could be improved again. Thinking of this, Bai Jingtian became even more excited. No, I have to go back and try it. This method really reminds me. Chapter 703. Not only Bai Jingtian, but Ji Yunma and Qin Qingwu were also enlightened by Bailey Hongzhuang's words. Over the years, they had been staring at some problems, which had led them to a dead end and did not expand their thinking. At this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang's reminder seemed to have opened a new world for them. Some problems that had been unsolvable for a long time seemed to have found the possibility to be solved. Girl, wait for me to go back and verify my thoughts, and then I will communicate with you again, Ji Yunma said. At this moment, many ideas flashed in his mind. He must go back now, otherwise the inspiration would be fleeting. If he forgot, he would regret it. Seeing the three masters leave like the wind, the smile on Bailey Hongzhuang's lips widened a little. Sure enough, as she imagined, They were a group of lovely old men. Once they found a new possibility, they didn't care about anything else. How could they look like old men when they walked so fast? At this moment, Lu Jingqi looked at Bailey Hongzhuang again and did not know what to say. Obviously, Bailey Hongzhuang really understood inscriptions. Not only that, but she could also communicate with the three inscription masters smoothly, and even help the three masters solve their doubts. It was reasonable to say that at their current age, this was simply impossible. This Bailey Hongzhuang was really a monster. Seeing the three inscription masters leave one by one like the wind, Xia Jiqing and others could not help but come to Bailey Hongzhuang's side, their eyes full of doubts. Hongzhuang, what happened? Xia Jiqing looked in the direction of the exit. What happened to the three inscription masters? Not only Xia Jiqing, but Gong Shaoqing and others also looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with doubts. This was too strange. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled indifferently. They just thought of some very important problems. Everyone listened to Bailey Hongzhuang's answer, but the doubts in their hearts still hadn't dissipated. What kind of question could make the three masters so anxious like this? The cultivators of Beihai College couldn't help but look at Lu Jingqi. They were worried that their approach would cause the three masters to be unhappy, so they didn't dare to approach. Therefore, they didn't know what had happened. Lu Jingqi shook her head at them. She didn't know what to say about this. By the way, how's your inscription selection going? Bailey Hongzhuang asked. I have already chosen. It suits Gong Shaoqing. Xia Jiqing smiled. Cui Haoyin and the others also nodded. Gong Shaoqing's strength was the strongest among them besides Bailey Hongzhuang. If this inscription was added, Gong Shaoqing's strength would definitely increase. In this way, Gong Shaoqing would be able to achieve better results in the Inter-Academy competition. After all, the Inter-Academy competition would eventually choose the first place. Whichever school the first place belonged to, the winner would be that school. Although they were all looking forward to their excellent performance, they still hoped to maximize the success rate. Bailey Hongzhuang and Gong Shaoqing were the two people that everyone had the most hope for. Therefore, when it came to choosing, there was no dispute. Gong Shaoqing was the person they most approved of in their hearts. Chapter 704. The cultivators of Beihai College saw Bailey Hongzhuang and the others solve the problem so indifferently, and their hearts were somewhat incredible. As a cultivator, how could they be so modest? Their own strength was the most important thing. The cultivators of Kangling College were really different. They even faintly felt that the other side might be sensationalist, but they couldn't find any evidence. Since we have chosen, let's leave. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a shallow smile. This Wubao pavilion was really worthy of its reputation, but they had already seen everything, and they didn't need to continue to stay here. Hearing this, everyone nodded and immediately turned to go downstairs. Take care. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang and the others leave, the attendant quickly said. Her pretty face revealed a bit of amazement and emotion. This Bailey girl was really amazing. It was the first time she saw someone who could solve the problem here, and it was also the first time she saw a young person who could be treated like this by the three masters. Just this point alone, Bailey Hongzhuang was already very amazing. After everyone left the Wubao Pavilion, the cultivators of Beihai College did not stay for a long time, but they had secretly decided to come to the Wubao Pavilion early tomorrow. Even if it was at a high price, they would not hesitate to buy the inscription. Selling an inscription every day, they still had a chance. Let's go back to the inn, Lu Qinwei slowly said. Originally, her good mood was a bit gloomy after meeting the group of cultivators of Beihai College. This group of guys was really good at destroying the mood. Xia Jiqing nodded slightly. Meeting a group of guys who spoil my appetite, I also don't have the mood to continue to stroll around. Xia Jiqing's words were not restrained at all. So the cultivators of Beihai College heard it very clearly, and their faces became ugly in an instant. When the college tournament starts, we must teach them a lesson. Lu Jingqi's face was full of anger. Since she met Xia Jiqing and the others, her mood was in an extremely bad stage. Jingqi, does Bailey Hongzhuang really know inscription? Lu Jinglin walked to Lu Jingqi's side and took the latter's hand, her eyes full of curiosity. Lu Jingqi nodded slightly. Judging from her conversation with the three masters, that should be the case. After receiving the affirmative answer from Lu Jingqi and the others, the expressions of Xue Haoling and the others changed a little. An inscription master was a very noble profession. If Bailey Hongzhuang could become an inscription master in the future, her status would be incomparable. I didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to be an inscription master. It's really unexpected. Xiao Lanmei's lips evoked a faint smile, but his expression did not change. The next morning, Huan Chuyu gathered Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. It was not for anything else, but because the principal and vice principal of Lingyin College had personally come to the inn to pick them up. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were not surprised by this outcome. All of this was within their expectations. Elder Huan, long time no see. A middle-aged man wearing a black robe slowly walked in. Compared to Huan Chuyu, he was undoubtedly younger. However, the image and the aura he exuded when he walked told everyone that his identity was not ordinary. Chapter 705. After seeing Jian Qingqiu, Huan Chuyu's face, which had always been kind and amiable, was a little cold. Principal Jian. For what Lingyin College had done before, Huan Chuyu was obviously still angry. Or rather, he had to show his attitude in front of Jian Qingqiu today. If it was so simple, wouldn't the other party look down on them even more? Feeling the indifference in Huan Chuyu's words, Jian Qingqiu's smile did not change. Old Huan, I was in seclusion before. I didn't expect such a big thing to happen. I hope you won't be angry. Lingyin College is getting more and more powerful now. A mere guard can treat us like this. Principal Jian is deliberately trying to embarrass us. Huan Chuyu's voice was slightly drawn out. How could he not know what Jian Qingqiu was thinking? Seclusion? With Jian Qingqiu's temperament, at this moment, he was afraid that he would think of ways to win this time. How could he be in the mood to seclude himself? They had been staying in this inn for 2 days. If Jian Qingqiu cared, he would have come long ago. Now he was just putting on a show. Since he was putting on a show, he would let the other party put on a show. Old Huan, what are you talking about? I really don't know about this matter. Jian Qingqiu hurriedly said. As soon as I knew about this matter, I drove the guard away. He dared to stop the team of Kanglin College. He really doesn't have eyes. However, Huan Chuyu was still unmoved. Old Huan, what the principal said is the truth. I hope you will be magnanimous and not care about a guard. Lin Hao, the vice principal, said. I don't believe that a mere guard would have the guts to do such a thing, Lin Feng said. Huan Chuyu raised his eyebrows slightly. Today, Kanglin College and Lingyin College had long been at odds. Since they were destined to fall out, why should he let his students suffer at such a time? No matter what, you must give me an explanation for this matter. Huan Chuyu's expression was serious and his tone was firm. This was related to the face of the entire Kanglin College and the face of the students. If the Lingyin College did not give them an explanation, they would be ridiculed if they directly entered the Lingyin College. This was not what he wanted to see. Seeing Huan Chuyu being so serious, Jian Qingqiu and Lin Hao couldn't help but look at each other. They didn't expect this old man to be so stubborn. It seemed that it would be impossible for them to resolve this matter easily. Old Huan, this is the fault of our Lingyin College. I apologize to you. Jian Qingqiu said, as for this guard's audacity, I will investigate it carefully and give you an explanation. What do you think? Jian Qingqiu was also very open-minded. What he wanted was to use the opportunity of this college tournament to completely defeat the Kanglin College. This little thing in front of him, he directly agreed. After Azure Water College was defeated once again, what was the point of Huan Chuyu's explanation? Bailey Hongzhuang and the others looked at each other. The principal of Lingyin College was really good at pretending. If it was in the past, they might really think that Jian Qingqiu really wanted to give them an explanation. Now that they had experienced so many things together, they were able to differentiate between sincerity and deceit. Chapter 706. Seeing Jian Qingqiu's attitude, the coldness on Huan Chuyu's face eased a little. Then we will wait for Principal Jian to give us an explanation. What a stubborn old man. Jian Qingqiu muttered in his heart, but a smile appeared on his face. Of course. These days, old Juan and the students have been living in the inn. I have already prepared accommodation for you in the college. Now that the problem has been solved, it is better to come with me to the college. Otherwise, everyone will say that I am not treating guests well. Lin and Hao also said, the principal is right. Tomorrow is the day of the student exchange meeting. It will be more convenient to stay in the college. What a group of old foxes. Are they afraid that we will run away? Bai Junyu sneered. Tomorrow was the day of the college exchange meeting. They had specially come to invite them to stay in Lingyin College. What they were most worried about was that they would leave. What other reason could there be? Xia Jiqing's eyebrows were filled with disgust. We must perform well in the college competition. Now, it was not only to restore the honor of the college, but they were also full of disgust for Lingyin College. Everything was for them to be able to leave Lingyin College with their heads held high. Isn't it just winning 2 times in a row? What's so great about it? Bailey Hongzhuang, Gong Xiaoqing, I will rely on you to defeat them. Bai Junyu's face was full of confidence. Although they had not interacted much with Lingyin College so far, the other party's insults to them had been engraved in their hearts. Listening to Bai Junyu's words, Bailey Hongzhuang and Gong Xiaoqing's eyes were filled with helplessness. They thought that Bai Junyu was ready to surprise the other party in the college competition. They did not expect that he would ask them to work hard. This guy was really, finally, under the invitation of Jian Qingqiu and Lin Yinghao. Huan Chuyu took Bailey Hongzhuang and others to Lingyin College again. However, the situation this time was completely different from the last time. The principal and vice principal of Lingyin College were personally leading the way. Who would dare to stop them? All the way to Lingyin College, everyone was able to see the situation inside the college. They already knew that Lingyin College had strong financial resources, and the equipment in the college was naturally first class. But when they saw it with their own eyes, they found that the situation was much more magnificent than they had imagined. As expected of the Royal Academy, this arrangement is truly amazing. Dong Fengyu exclaimed, it's just a little more beautiful. Other than looking good, it's useless. Xia Jiqing curled her lips. It was obvious that she was disgusted with Lingyin College. No matter what good things there were, they were worthless in her eyes. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the situation of Lingyin College. The campus of Lingyin College was much larger than that of Kanglan College, and there were more students. However, she had also heard that there was a large area in Lingyin College that belonged to the members of the royal family. The members of the royal family had the highest status here. They were high and mighty and never associated with ordinary cultivators. As a result, the range of ordinary cultivators was not much bigger than the Azure Water School. Chapter 707. Look, that's the cultivators of Kanglan College. I heard that they were blocked by the guards and left. I didn't expect that today they would be personally brought back by the 2 principals. Kanglan College has already lost twice in a row. This time they're only here to humiliate themselves. The 2 principals personally invited them back, but they don't even know if they are really qualified. That's right, let them be today. Once the tournament starts tomorrow, they will just be a joke. The cultivators of the Lingyin College obviously looked down on the cultivators of the Kanglan College. At this moment, when they saw Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, the words of ridicule came in waves. Listening to the sarcasm of the people around them, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others looked as usual. Along the way, they had been listening to such words for a long time. It could be seen how the teachers and principals of Lingyin College belittled Kanglan College in front of the students. Otherwise, how could the students be so unanimous? The students of Lingyin College don't seem to be so annoying. Xiao Hei's eyes were full of dissatisfaction. What a joke. These ugly people dared to laugh at her master. They were definitely looking for death. I want to directly slap these people's mouths. Xiao Bai was obviously even paler. These guys, if they didn't slap them in the face, they wouldn't be able to completely shut up. Kanglan College has already lost 2 times in a row. It is expected that they will suffer here. If you want to shut them up, you have to rely on your own strength. Bailey Hongzhuang's face was indifferent. Even in the face of this merciless sarcasm, she still had the appearance of a superior. Compared to the ridicule she had suffered before, this was nothing at all. Instead of being unhappy about this kind of thing, it was better to think about how to make these people unhappy tomorrow. Xia Jiqing's eyes were full of anger. This group of people was too much. The faces of Gong Shaoqing and the others were also ugly. They had always been respected and worshipped in Kanglan College, but here they were ridiculed by everyone. This gap was not ordinary. Jian Xingqiu also heard the discussions of the surrounding students, but he acted as if he didn't hear anything. He didn't stop them. Instead, the smile on his face widened. This floor is where you will stay. You can have a good rest here. The inter-school competition will begin tomorrow morning, Jian Xingqiu said with a smile. Huan Chuyu said to Lu Huayin and Fu Hongbo, "You two settle the students down first. I still have some matters to discuss with Principal Jian." Lu Huayin nodded slightly and immediately led Bailey Hongzhuang and the others into the corridor. "Minter, the students of Lingyin College are too annoying." As soon as she walked into the corridor, Xia Jiqing couldn't help but start to complain. He didn't even know how to treat guests. It was really disgusting. Lu Huayin and Fu Hongbo's faces were equally ugly. Lingyin College has always been arrogant. Even their students are the same. You have been wronged. Listening to the mentor's words, Xia Jiqing's expression also changed a bit. If they were unhappy, the two mentors and the vice principal would be even more unhappy. Chapter 708. However, Lu Huayin's expression was still dignified. This time, the team of Lingyin College is also very strong. There are many strong cultivators. They suddenly proposed to hold a college tournament. It was premeditated. Hearing this, the expressions of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were a bit heavy. They did not directly enter the room, but all of them gathered in one room. Tomorrow was the day of the tournament, and they believed that the two mentors had something to tell them. After all, so far, they did not know anything about the cultivators of Lingyin College. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be victorious in 100 battles. At the very least, they needed to know some information about each other so that they would have more confidence when they fought tomorrow. The strongest cultivator of Lingyin College is the crown prince of the Qing dynasty, Nangong Aochen. Nangong Aochen is now 18 years old. 2 years ago, I heard that his strength had reached the innate realm. Now that 2 years have passed, we don't know how much he has grown. Nangong Aochen is now 18 years old. Wasn't he 16 years old 2 years ago? Xia Jiqing exclaimed, 16 years old innate realm. This talent was really first class. Lu Huayin nodded slightly. It is said that Nangong Aochen will leave Lingyin College next year, and Lingyin College is holding the tournament this year to use Nangong Aochen as their trump card to win the first place. As soon as these words came out, Gong Shaoqing and the others also understood. This Lingyin College is too treacherous. If it was held again 2 years later, Lingyin College would lose such a trump card, and the possibility of winning would be reduced a lot. Lu Huayin and Fu Hongbo also had some contempt in their eyes. Lingyin College had come to this position step by step, and had used a lot of methods. In addition to Nangong Aochen, the second prince Nangong Shujia has also broken through to the innate realm, and the third prince Nangong Yujin is not far from breaking through to the innate realm. In addition, there are other cultivators, but the three princes of the royal family are the trump cards of Lingyin College. Therefore, the pressure you are under is great. Fu Hongbo's voice was slightly heavy. If it was only Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujin, they could fight with Bailey Hongzhuang and Gong Shaoqing. However, Nangong Aochen's strength was too strong, and their chances of winning were still very slim. Xia Jiqing and the others looked at each other. This situation was indeed much more serious than they thought. He just didn't expect Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujin, these two lechers, to have such outstanding strength. It would be really difficult to win this time. I've already received news that Nangong Aochen won't show up until the finals, so we won't meet Nangong Aochen tomorrow. Lu Huayin added, with Nangong Aochen's strength, he indeed had the right to obtain special privileges. In the previous competitions, Nangong Aochen would definitely win as soon as he made a move, so there was no point in participating. It was better to give the other students a chance to perform. Minter, what about the cultivators of Beihai College? Lu Qinhua couldn't help but ask. Bai Junyu was also puzzled. Yes, didn't the cultivators of Beihai College also fail to win for 2 years? Why are they so proud? Chapter 709. There was also a touch of helplessness on Fu Hongbo's face. This is because in the last 2 college tournaments, Lingyin College was first, Beihai College was second, and Kanglin College was last. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others understood that the reputation of being last 2 times in a row was really bad. Seeing the look of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, Lu Huayin could not help but add, the reason why Kanglin College fell into this situation is because Lingyin College and Beihai College joined forces. In the previous competition, the students of Lingyin College injured our students. So, in the second day of the finals, it was natural that they would not be able to get a good result. Lu Huayin and Fu Hongbo's eyes flashed with anger. If the other side did not use these underhanded means, they would have lost. But how could they accept losing in this way? Damn, Lingyin College and Beihai College are too much. Bai Junyu directly burst out with foul language. This kind of despicable and shameless means the other side was really shameless. Lu Huayin was somewhat helpless. There is a possibility of injury during the competition. The other side regarded it as an accident, and we can't do anything about it. This time, you must be more careful during the competition. If you can't win, then don't fight. Although the results are important, in our eyes, you are more important. Fu Hongbo said solemnly. When these words came out, everyone's heart was touched. Compared to many mentors who only cared about results, Lu Huayin and Fu Hongbo had always paid the most attention to their safety. Among the practitioners of Beihai College, the strongest is Xiao Lanmei. He has also broken through to the innate realm. Once you meet him, you have to be more careful. As the 2 mentors told everyone about the specific situation of the practitioners of the 2 colleges, everyone's mood was heavy. Lingyin College had 2 practitioners of the innate realm, and Beihai College had 1. The other side had joined forces, and they only had Bailey Hongzhuang, who was a practitioner of the innate realm. As a result, they were really in trouble. Gong Shaoqing was now at the late stage of the Xintian realm, and there was only a little obstacle to breaking through to the innate realm. Unfortunately, breaking through to the Xintian realm required some opportunities. Only by grasping that opportunity would one be able to successfully break through. Otherwise, one would have to wait. Although Gong Shaoqing's expression did not change, he could not help but feel a little anxious. If he could also successfully break through to the Xintian realm, then the success rate this time would increase by a lot. When Bailey Hongzhuang returned to the house, Xiao He and Xiao Bai had already jumped down from her head and sat at the table across from Bailey Hongzhuang. Master, this isn't a good situation, Xiao He frowned. We don't know how strong Nangong Aochin is. Xiao Bai nodded. He broke through to the innate realm 2 years ago. With the cultivation resources and heritage of the royal family, I believe that Nangong Aochin has at least reached the 4th level of the Red Realm. Bai Shi jumped out of Bailey Hongzhuang's arms and onto the table. Its furry little face was filled with anticipation. Master, can I join in? Chapter 710. In the Shengxian continent, contract beasts were also a part of a cultivator's strength, so contract beasts could also be brought to the field. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flashed with a light of thought. I don't know the specific rules. We can only wait until the beginning of the student exchange tomorrow to know. If she could bring Bai Shi out, that would be the best, but if not, there was nothing she could do. After all, in the college tournament, she was afraid that the word fairness was very important, and it may not be allowed to bring pets. The next day, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others gathered outside the dormitory early, while Huan Chuyu, Lu Huayin, and Fu Hongbo stood in front of everyone. In this college tournament, today is the promotion round, tomorrow is the finals, and the 3rd day is the alchemy competition. Qin Yue can rest for these 2 days, and your competition will be on the 3rd day. Huan Chuyu said slowly. Since the end of the last trip to the ruins, Lu Qinhua had decided to put all her energy into refining pills, so she would not participate in this competition. Not only Lu Qinhua, but Lingyin College and Beihai College also had cultivators participating in the alchemy competition. Therefore, Today's promotion round was about 7 people from each college, a total of 21 people. Among them, Nangong Aochin directly advanced to the finals. So today, only 20 colleges participated in the promotion round. This competition is related to the integration of Kanglan College. I hope everyone can do their best to get a good result. Huan Chio's voice was dignified, looking at Bailey Hongzhuang and the others with eyes full of love. Nangong Aochin and the others were the most important students of Lingyin College, and Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were also the most important students of Kanglan College. Vice Principal, you can rest assured that we will do our best. Bai Junyu was the first to respond. His expression was very serious. This tournament was not only related to the honor of the college, but also their personal honor. Bailey Hongzhuang, Gong Xiaoqing, and the others also nodded. Now, they were fighting with their backs against the river, and there was no way back. Looking at the expressions of Gong Xiaoqing and the others, Huan Chuyu and the 2 mentors' faces were filled with joy. You just need to do your best. I believe in your strength, but your life is the most important. Although the rules of the exchange have always stated that you cannot kill, injuries are still difficult to avoid. You have to be more careful. We understand. Since everyone is ready, let's set off. There was a faint and loving smile on Huan Chuyo's face as he turned around and led Bailey Hongzhuang and the others to the arena of Lingyin College. Today, the most lively place in the entire Lingyin College was the arena. Early in the morning, all the students rushed to the arena. They wanted to witness the glory of Lingyin College once again. Even the princes and princesses, who were rarely seen, would appear here. It was truly a feast. When Bailey Hongzhuang and the others arrived at the martial arts field, they saw a black mass of students gathered here. They couldn't even see the situation inside clearly. Fortunately, there was a special passage on the left for the participating students to enter. Otherwise, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others would have needed a lot of time just to squeeze in. There are really a lot of students in Lingyin College. Zhang Yinfeng couldn't help but sigh. Chapter 711. Listening to Cui Haoyin's words, everyone was stunned. It seems that Lingyin College is really confident in winning. They want more people to witness their moment of success. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows slightly. It was reasonable to say that the college tournament was held within the college, and outsiders should not be allowed to come in and watch. The move of Lingyin College was a bit sensational. I heard that it's not just that. Lu Qinwei said slowly. It is said that tomorrow's final will be held on the royal family's platform. The emperor of the Qing dynasty will also come to watch in person. As the voice of Lu Qinwei fell, everyone's expression changed again. This time, Lingyin College really wanted to be in the limelight. Nangong Aochin is the crown prince of the Qing dynasty. His battle will naturally be very grand. We have to be more careful, Gong Xiaoqing said slowly. When Bailey Hongzhuang and the others walked in the crowd, they found that the teams of Lingyin College and Beihai College had already arrived. Everyone's faces were full of smiles. After seeing Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, there was a hint of sarcasm in their smiles. The students of Kanglan College are really arrogant. They are actually the last to come, Lu Jingqi said coldly. A woman from Lingyin College laughed after hearing this. They know that they will lose face here today. Naturally, they don't want to come too early. The woman was wearing a pink and purple dress. Her skin was white and her appearance was outstanding. There was a strong sense of arrogance and nobility between her eyebrows. She was the little princess of the royal family, Nangong Yu'er. They are too much. What kind of temper did Xia Jiqing have? At this moment, when she heard Nangong Yu'er and Lu Jingqi's collusion, she couldn't help but want to fly into a rage. However, Bailey Hongzhuang had already pulled her back and said, "They have many people. Even if they quarrel, we won't be able to take advantage of them. It is better to let them say whatever they want and see the truth on the platform." Xia Jiqing's face was full of anger, but she also knew that Bailey Hongzhuang was right. Now that they had exploded, it would be better for them. God bless me. If Lu Jingqi is in the same group as me, I will tear her mouth off. Xia Jiqing's eyes flashed with anger. This annoying woman, if she didn't teach her a good lesson, she would never be happy. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly and looked coldly at Lu Jingqi. This woman was always trying to sow discord, and her own strength was not very good. If Jiqing really had the chance to be in the same group as Lu Jingqi, it would be good to teach her a lesson. Gong Shaoqing and the rest also ignored the words of the people around them. In this kind of environment, what they had to show was their own quality. Just like Lu Jingqi, she was just a clown who was trying to please the crowd. After seeing the arrival of the Kinglan College team, Jian Xingqiu's face also showed a deep smile. In the next moment, Jian Xingqiu walked directly to the high platform. His handsome face was full of joy and relief. Today is the day of the exchange between the three great academies. It is also a custom that has been established since the establishment of the three great academies. It is to promote the students' hearts for cultivation. Now, I announce that the Academy Exchange competition has officially begun.